If you've ever overused the camel emoji on Wednesday, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Happy hump day. We're back for another episode of Benzinga's pre-market playbook. Got a lot of stuff to cover. Apple making some news here this morning, not to be outdone by the Google and AMD earnings. We're going to break it all down. We're going to take a look at what is moving this market and where we might go next. Benzinga's pre-market playbook starts right now. Good morning, folks, and we'll give you a little bonus one. If you've ever hummed the intro as the intro is playing, then you'd be me, just like I was doing right there. Good morning, folks. Great to have a whole bunch of returning faces here. We'll just go ahead and get it started. Chuck in the street. Chuck in the stream, more like. Am I right, boss? Good morning. Welcome back. Svarcy Marcy, love the Ryman handle. Welcome back, Crimp Biscuit. It's great to see you. Good morning, Humpers. I see what you did there, Crimp Biscuit. Welcome back, Hustle and Bustle. Welcome back. Hopefully the home sales yesterday went well. We're glad to have you back here today. Kayla, hi. Welcome. Great to see you again. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. Paul, it's good to see you as always. Hello, CA. Chris, welcome back. It's great to see you. Drew, good morning as always. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, locked in, getting it done here this morning. Good morning. Hemanta, good morning. Chuck, the other Chuck, one of the other Chucks. Good morning. Yassine, good morning. We're apparently supposed to get an ice storm a little bit later today, Yassine, so lock in, be safe. Reaching financial freedom. I second that. Welcome back, Larry. Welcome back. Jane, great to see you this morning. Tanya, great to see you. Day Trader, welcome back. Good morning. White chocolate mocha in the house. Let's go. We're gonna do well here today. Eshok, welcome back. Ed, welcome back. Ivan, welcome back. Market Sniper, Trade Scorner, Gary, Bernardo, JJ, Jonathan, Matthew. We got the entire crew here today. Welcome back, folks. Let's go ahead and dive in and break down what we're seeing here. We'll get ready for another exciting day. Harris, good morning. Danny, good morning. Just to kind of catch up there. All right, let's take a quick look at the SPY. We'll go ahead and talk about the market. We'll start here with the futures, right? Definitely some pressure here this morning. S&P futures down just about 0.5%, actually down about 0.4%, minus 0.43% at present. Dow futures down 0.15%. They're the strongest of the group. And the NASDAQ leading the way down here at 0.8. That's no surprise given some of the earnings that we saw last night and the subsequent move back down. Also, as I mentioned, Apple is getting hit here. So we're going to take a look at all that. Roaring Mouse, good morning. Anne, good morning. Welcome back. Now, as far as the SPY goes here, the one thing that we've kind of been tracking it, I've been talking more about like what's recently happened because, of course, we had the DeepSeek pullback and then we had the tariff pullback. So we've been focused a lot on some of this recent action here, which, by the way, as you can see, is actually making lower highs. So keep that on the back burner here. We did set that new all-time high. What day was that? That was January 24th. So we did set that all-time high, but since then we've actually made lower highs. But I actually want to take a little bit longer of a look back here, and we discussed this yesterday in Happy Hour, and I think that this is really crucial for the next couple of weeks here, maybe even sooner than that. We'll see how the market shakes out here. But as you can see, since the beginning of November at the end of last year, we've really haven't done much in the market, right? We are kind of in this sideways channel. And if you take a look at the date, November 6th, was the day after the election. Yeah, you guessed it, folks. This is the Trump channel. We're currently in the Trump channel. Now, as far as, and I just, it's not an official name. I just named it that with the help of 13 because, frankly, it's fairly obvious. Really, the question here or the next trade or what I'm kind of setting up for has nothing to do with this channel. And instead, what is the next move out of this channel? The longer we spend in here, the more we compress, the larger the amplitude of the breakout or the breakdown, in my opinion. So what do I mean? The longer we stay in this shaded area, the bigger the move is going to be when we break either out to the upside or down to the downside here. So this is one of the reasons why I'm constantly looking at a bunch of these different levels. Just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, we're going to use some round numbers. The top end of this channel is 611. The bottom end of this channel here, 580. So we're basically looking at 31 SPY points. Okay. And when we break out of that, that's going to determine how we're going to allocate funds to try and capture some alpha going forward here. So with that in mind, let's zoom in a little bit and take a look at where we're at. We did hold, or so far, we are holding above the 50-day moving average. That's really good. And in fact, the 50-day moving average and the 20-day moving average are doing a really good job of converging at pretty much the same point right here. 597.92 and 597.15. So let's just call 597 to 598 a support area currently. Now, a couple of other levels beneath that we want to watch in case we break down. Again, still within the channel here. 588 is going to represent the 100-day moving average. It's off by about 6 cents, but it's pretty much right in there. And we also marked this recent downtrend starting in the middle of December, right? So we should find some support there. Now, if we hit any of these levels, for me, this is just going to kind of be okay. We're just checking in where we at. Remember, the big move that I'm trying to position and set up for is going to be a move out of this channel in whatever direction it picks. So again, that's kind of what we're looking at with the market here. We'll see how this ends up resolving. This was something that, again, that we just kind of discussed yesterday, and I feel pretty strongly about it. So we'll see where we end up going. If you asked me, if you said, Ryan, you have to answer here and you have to answer honestly, and you pumped truth serum into me and you said, which way would you want it to go? I'll be honest with you. I would really like this to break down, punch through the 200-day and then recapture it. The sooner we do that, the better off I feel about trading back up towards highs and then maybe even setting some new all-time highs. Let's allow some of these crazy valuations to get reset. You know the culprits. All of the semiconductors that are trading at 2x their average price to earnings multiple, or a stock like Palantir that is trading at 500x its valuation. For every dollar, you have to pay $500 for every dollar of earnings. It's just, it's crazy. So let's reset some of these valuations and some of the quality companies and then go from there. This is one of the things that we're going to be looking at, or I'm going to be looking for. And we'll, of course, update you as we move forward there. All right, let's get into some of the news stories here. And one of the big ones here this morning affecting one of the stocks that we take a look at all the time is going to be Apple. What's going on here? Apple shares fall 3% in the pre-market this morning after China reportedly considers a probe into Apple Store practices. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, gosh, this story sounds awfully familiar, and you'd be right, because this is happening all over the place, right? EU is looking into some of those practices. There's been talk about this here. Mark Zuckerberg made a lot of headway when he was talking about Apple's App Store practices on Joe Rogan's podcast. So this is not a new thing. We're just getting some news here from China. Now, a couple of things to take away from this report. The State Administration for Market Regulation, which is the SAMR, is looking into policies that include Apple taking a cut of as much as 30% on in-app spending, as well as blocking third-party payment services and app stores. Remember, Apple claims that this is all about the end-user security. It can keep a real tight wrap on their ecosystem, which allows it to excel, which is frankly what a lot of people pay for in Apple. This is why they're able to get away with this. I know that this rubs some people the wrong way. At least some people are rubs people the wrong way, but this is exactly how they do that. George is saying, which semiconductor is trading 2x its PE? That's not what I said, George. PEs traditionally for semiconductor companies are normally much lower, generally speaking in the range of 10 to 15. A lot of those PEs are much higher now, 20 to even 35 in some cases. Although NVIDIA has come down off of its highs, I think it still has a PE of like 27 or 28. Let me actually pull it for you so I can get that number correct here. NVIDIA PE 20 forward PE here 27.7. Again, traditionally these have much lower multiples. So sorry if I was unclear about that earlier. Anyway, back to Apple here. So App Store rubbing people the wrong way. China's market regulator has not decided whether to formally open an investigation into Apple. China's Ministry of Commerce, no comment as of yet. So if you read between the lines there, read the tea leaves, whatever metaphor you prefer, sure seems like this is the timing of this kind of with the whole tariffs and that whole thing. These are almost certainly related. I definitely am going to operate under the premise that these things are related. So when we look at Apple here, the very next question, and perhaps the $64,000 question, is this dip a buy? I'd like to hear your opinion on that. I'd love to hear what you folks think about this. Personally, I'll go ahead and start. Yes, I do. And that's been consistent with a lot of what I've talked about with Apple, the channel checks that bring it down, some of these stories that bring it down. It always ends up resolving higher. And I'm at the stage, I've been doing this long enough with Apple where I'm at the stage where I'm going to keep doing what has been working until it doesn't work. So eventually I'm going to make one of these dip buy calls. It's not going to work, and I'll readjust from there. But given everything that we know here today, I do think that this represents a buying opportunity on Apple. I don't know if buying it today is the move. We definitely want to see how it trades, but nonetheless, just keep in mind, nothing has formally happened. They haven't really commented. There's been multiple reach outs on that, and they haven't commented. So just kind of seems like this is part of the back and forth with some of those tariffs. We'll see if that ends up panning out. China also opened a probe into Google earlier this week, which begs the question, might Intel be next? Might this entire thing kind of carry forward and proliferate? We'll see. We'll see how this all shakes out. And also, it is worth noting, as far as actual data goes, this is on the backs of Apple sales declining in China. The last earnings report mentioned that sales declined 11% year over year in China, which is a pretty decent market for Apple. So let's see. Do we get a trade opportunity here? You'll notice that Apple's price is basically sitting right between these two blue lines on this intraday chart. And if we actually go back to a daily chart and then zoom in, you can see exactly what's going on here. So price right up here, 227. You can see we're actually beneath one of the trend lines here. Actually, not sure where one of those other lines. There we go. Okay, so it didn't draw that. We are beneath the 233. This is what I was trying to get at. We are actually beneath that 233 area that we've marked here on the chart, that horizontal price level. And you can see, look, Apple really didn't have the strength to get above that. Now with this report and trading down here 2+%, we'll see if we're able to end up getting, we will see if we are strong enough to get back other. Gosh, easy for me to say. One other thing to take a look at here on Apple, we've talked a little bit about the 200-day moving average. We've talked about really wanting to take trades when some of these stocks come in and actually test the 200-day moving average. You can see what happened the last time. We didn't even quite get down there, and look at the big move Apple made back towards the highs here. Now, it is worth noting, and we should probably draw this on here because I'm sure we're going to come back to Apple. Here is your lower high trend line. We'll see if we end up finding any resistance there if we do kind of reverse. We do have a higher low here on Apple. So this triangle is coming to a decision point pretty soon. We'll see which way Apple goes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Apple. Are people bullish on Apple? Are you bearish on Apple? Producer, maybe we should do that as a poll question. Unsure if you already have one. Maybe you do have a bullish, bearish on the entire market here today. That'd do pretty well. But I'd love to see how the sentiment is changing on Apple, if it has even changed. I don't even know if that's the case. So I'd love to gather that. But that's kind of where we're at with Apple. That's what's going on here. All right, let's talk about some of the movers and the earnings that we had yesterday. I guess we'll start here with AMD. AMD down 9.5% here on what looked like pretty good earnings, right? AMD Q4 earnings, revenue beat, EPS beat, data center up 69%, clear opportunities for continued growth and more. On that, we actually do have a story here for this. So if you want to poke through that, there you go. That is in the chat. Let me go ahead and share that here, and we'll go through some of this stuff. So again, AMD down almost 10% here. Reported fourth quarter revenue $7.66 billion. That beat the estimate of $7.53 billion. EPS 109, beating the analyst estimate of 108. So small beat, but a beat on both of those metrics. Total revenue up 12% year over year, led by the data center revenue that I just mentioned of $3.9 billion, which was up 69% year over year. Client segment revenue totaled $2.3 billion, up 58% year over year. Gaming revenue fell 59% year over year to $563 million. And embedded revenue declined 13% year over year to $923 million. So some of these declines here obviously dwarfed by some of the increases, like things in data center. Nonetheless, here, AMD still trading down. Lisa Su, the CEO here, quote, 2024 was a transformative year for AMD as we delivered record annual revenue and strong earnings growth. End quote. Quote, data center segment annual revenue nearly doubled as the EPYC processor adoption accelerated, and we delivered more than $5 billion of AMD Instinct accelerator revenue. So definitely seems like there's some good news coming out of this report. Beat some of the metrics there, but man, oh man, the market not rewarding AMD at all here. So we turn our attention back to the chart. Again, AMD down 9.5% here at about 108. I definitely think the round number of 100 is going to be a support area, or maybe I would rephrase that and say a potential bounce area. AMD has really, really struggled ever since this red dog reversal, by the way. Red dog reversal here in March of 2024. Stock has really had trouble. There was just a couple of pockets where it looked like it was going to have some strength, inevitably ended up resolving lower. So where are we going to turn this around is really the question. That $100 level, I definitely think there's going to be some type of bounce there, perhaps even some type of battle here, but I would also pay attention to this support level that's down here. I have it marked off right now with my mouse at 93.5, but honestly, I think 93 to 93.5 probably going to be a pretty sticky support level. So those are two of the downside levels that I would look for. Some of the upside levels are fairly clear here with some of the moving averages, but man, oh man, we really need to turn this around, and then we actually need to fill this gap on the way back up. So I want to see how AMD trades today. I'm fortunate that this is not one of the positions that I had. I did not play this for earnings last night. I just hung on to my EA position, which is actually up. We'll take a look at that here. But man, oh man, at some point, this is going to be worth looking at again, but it still seems like it's hunting for a bottom. Just kind of going back to our comment about semiconductors and their forward PE, we just took a look at NVIDIA, which was at 27, I think 27.7 was what that was. AMD here, forward PE 25.6, so a little bit less than NVIDIA, but frankly, still some more room to the downside there. So keep that in mind. If you guys have an opinion on NVIDIA, I would really like to know what it is that you're looking for, right? Like what level is it that gets you enticed to buy AMD? Where do you want to trade this? And then what kind of time horizon do you have on that? So looks like investors are tired. Keep smiling here, saying looks like investors are tired with AMD. I would agree with you. It certainly looks like that. The stock is kind of trading tired. And here's the thing about this is, like, you know, we talk a lot. There's a bunch of different companies where we talk about, you know, how the connection to the actual product is. The computer that I'm hosting this meeting on, is using an AMD CPU. It has been using it for 2 years. What's 2024, 2025? Damn, 2025, maybe 3 years at this point. They make great products. They make great products, but it's not translating, at least the retail consumer here. It's not translating. They do seem to be behind in some of the advanced chips and the AI, and the stock is performing accordingly. So what I would like from you guys, keep smiling. I would agree with you. They are tired. Where is the point where investors are no longer tired, right? That's one of the things that I would be looking for here. AMD. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here today? That was AMD. Google. Let's take a look at Google. I know we trade this one a lot. I know that this is kind of a favorite. We've actually had a recent really good move. We've basically broke out of the trend line here. There was obviously the Willow quantum chip that kind of lit the entire quantum industry and that whole thing. Now we have a little bit of a retracement here, right? Google, Alphabet earnings highlights, AI, cloud, YouTube momentum continues. I don't think anyone thought otherwise there. $75 billion CapEx guidance spooks investors here on Google. So let's go ahead and dive right into this as well. Let's take a look at some of the highlights there. Then we'll go back to the chart and identify some levels that we might want to take a look at here. So the total revenue, fourth quarter total revenue of $96.5 billion. That's actually up 12% year over year, but that missed the street consensus of $96.6 billion, but 0.1 billion. Life can be cruel, but that's what happens here. The company reported fourth quarter earnings per share of $2.15, beating the street consensus estimate of $2.12. Had a little bit of a mixed report there. And then they actually broke out some of their other revenue here. So then this is what I really wanted to focus on, because this is kind of what we talk about on a daily basis here, the themes that we kind of talk about here on a daily basis. Apple. Come on, Ryan. Alphabet said it saw robust momentum across the business. Google service revenues were up 10% year over year. And remember, services revenue has been a big thing for the stock in the past. To $84.1 billion. Yikes. With strong momentum for Google search and YouTube ads, the company said. Google Cloud revenue was up 30% year over year to $12 billion. And then the revenue was broken down as follows. Google search, $54 billion. Prior year was 48. YouTube ads, 10 billion. Prior year was 9.2. That was 10 and a half, excuse me. Google Network, 8 billion. Prior year was 8.3. And total Google advertising here, 72.5. Prior year was 65.5. So there are some of the bigger revenue segments broken down there. The company's Google subscriptions, platform, and devices revenue was 11.6 billion compared to 10.8. So I go through all of those numbers to ask you kind of a more rhetorical question here on how we're going to handle some of these things going forward. Are we at peak earnings? Right? Are we at peak earnings with some of these? That report on the surface there looked pretty good. A lot of growth there. Just missed the market expectation for revenue there. And guess what? Stock's down 7% here this morning. I think actually, yeah. So we are kind of up off the lows, which is good to see. It looks like we did print that 189, but you tell me. Now, if we take a look at the chart, this one is fairly obvious to me. I think we have a date with the 50-day. I really do. That's the yellow line staring at you on the chart. That value's 190.23. Yes, yesterday in the after hours, we did actually trade beneath that. But frankly, I would absolutely love for this 50-day to get touched during the regular session and then maybe give us a reversal trade there or some type of bounce that we can trade. So I'd love to see that get tested here again. Yes, I did see that we traded beneath it and then recaptured it, but that was in the extended session. Let's see what it does when the volume shows up here today. That's kind of one of the things that I'm going to be looking for with Google. Looks like you guys do have some thoughts here on AMD. Ivan said AMD alert at 56. Okay, so you're basically saying, forget it. We'll wait till 56 on AMD. All right, well, we shall see. All right, folks. It's time for one of your favorite guests. That's basically just how we're going to introduce him. We're going to introduce him as one of your favorite guests. It's Wednesday and it's almost 8:30. So that means it's time for Tim Melvin. We're going to go ahead and bring him on now. All right, Tim, happy hump day. I don't know about you, but I am coffeeed up right now, and I am feeling good. How you doing this morning?
Well, we're doing great this morning. It's waiting to see, what kind of new surprises the world has for us today, I guess. Uh,
Every day we wake up, we've got some new surprises. Every day we've got some new things to sift through.
it does
Nothing new
it
here.
it does kind of seem that way. Interesting stuff going on in the world. Earnings, of course, coming in. This is the busiest earnings week for the S&P 500 of this particular quarter. So, been busy, seeing lots of numbers. I'd like to say I've been surprised by everything that's happened, but the only thing that has caught me off guard in the last 2 weeks is DeepSeek.
Okay. And,
And
and to be fair, DeepSeek, I mean, I don't know what camp you're in. I to me that actually seemed like a buying opportunity.
well, I mean, yeah, kind of. It's we don't even know what the hell DeepSeek is yet. I mean, we don't. I mean, we kind of know what it is, but we don't know where it came from.
There are
We
lots of questions still unanswered, is my diplomatic way of approaching that. I agree with you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, and it does come into something I want to talk about before we get are done today. But when you've got these big, high quality companies that are going to dominate the future, like Nvidia,
Mhm.
like Microsoft, I mean, when you see that kind of sell off, if you're thinking a decade down the road, then it's a pretty good time to accumulate some shares.
Mhm.
So now, was this a massive sell off, quote unquote buying opportunity? Yeah, that's about as close to a real buying opportunity as I am to starting for the Eagles on Sunday. Okay.
You can play middle linebacker. I wouldn't want to get hit by Mr. Melvin over the middle there.
Did I weigh, if I really bulk up, I mean, really, really get into the chips and pretzels, I can gust up to 170,
Oh, never
but,
mind. You'd
but that,
bounce off me.
I'd bounce off almost anybody. Okay.
Okay, fair
so,
enough. Fair
um,
enough.
so in the realm of Captain Obvious today, there was a study came out, and very complex, well received academic study. And the guys button up because this is a serious thing. It's
Mhm.
life changing information. Ryan, did you know that rising food related commodity prices and rising commodity indexes are predictive of inflation in the short to intermediate term?
I did actually. I
Well,
did know that.
I'm pretty sure that my 7-year-old granddaughter gets that basic concept. But there was an academic study came out just to prove the point that, yeah, hey, you know what? There's all sorts of correlations. And, when we regress it and we bend it and we curve fit it, and yeah, it really does. Now, why is that important? Well, it's kind of important if you're looking at the market through any sort of macro lens. Because when you look at inflation coming down from 9% down to about 3% now, big part of that was food prices, especially grains, they collapsed.
Mhm.
I mean, grains were in basically a 3-year bear market. Energy's been about as quiet as it's been for a very, very long time. However, when you flip the charts on today, soybeans, wheat, corn, cattle, coffee, cocoa are all heading higher.
Yep.
Now, you know, if you're the kind of guy that goes from your corn-based whiskey products in the evening and switch over to coffee in the morning, or vice versa, this is not good news for you. And if you got kids that eat a lot of chocolate, your bill's going up because I mean these prices are all heading solidly higher. And then the big confirmation factor then there's gold and silver are both still moving higher.
Mhm.
Now, the
Mhm.
point of all this is it's inflation's not gone. And I keep hearing people saying that inflation's gone, it's tamed. It's not. It's there, it's sticky, and it's happening. The reduction has been happening in an environment where food and energy prices have been very weak. Okay. And inflation's still sticky
Mhm.
in spite of that. If we get anything that shocks the food markets, a drought, anything
Mhm.
in certain parts of the world in the country, or anything that shocks the energy market, because there's just absolute geopolitical calm in all the major energy producing areas of the world. Um, anything in those areas is going to spike inflation. And that's going to be, at this point in time, really hard for the markets to handle.
Okay. And do you think, let me ask you a question here. Do you think that there's any risk that the high inflation becomes entrenched? Because I think that would really be the worst case scenario, not only for investors, but for people on Main Street as well.
Sure. I mean, yes, there is. We could paint ourselves into, and I've said this all along, I can see a scenario where the current combination of events and policies works, right? And we have a 3 to 4% growth economy with mutated inflation, stable interest rates, maybe even lower interest rates, and a geopolitical climate where everybody continues to bend the knee. That's scenario A. Scenario B is persistent stagflation with higher rates of inflation, like we saw in the 1970s. So, when you hear the Fed talking about, well, guys, maybe we should just, let's just bump up the neutral interest rate. That tells you there's a regime change going on, okay? So if the economists in charge of the money are thinking that they want to adjust their estimate of the neutral interest rate, the rate that neither encourages growth nor discourages it, to a higher level, then I think you're looking at higher rates for longer because inflation is going to be a little bit embedded in there. Now, having said that, my forecast is worth just about exactly what everybody else's is, which is to say not much. So the key here is going to be know that all of these things exist, be prepared to react to what the market does in response. Now, from a predictive point of view, the only predictor I ever use is trend. Right now, the trend is all that stuff is up. The trend in bonds is down, which is screaming a message to me.
Okay.
So now next up this week, big event, bigger than anything else that happened. Well, now next week's the biggest event in the history of the world up till now. And that is pitchers and catchers report for 2000.
I was waiting. I was like, this has got to be a Super Bowl or a pitchers and catchers report, and here we go.
Come on, guys, where we got? I mean, this is my pitchers and catchers week eve Orioles shirt. I'm ready to go.
I love it.
Petcoda came out yesterday and said that we're going to be battling with the New York Yankees all year for first place. I feel pretty good about that. I saw some really, and we won't go into this week, but next week, if you guys want to, there's some stupid over-under bets in Vegas right now based on the latest numbers that have come out.
So I've actually already started a discussion with some of my circle on over-under bets for both the MLB and the upcoming NFL season. So I am all about that with you, Tim. We'll definitely do that at some point here.
See, now I need you to go in. There's a guy in the chat using really foul language, yelling about Yankees this and Yankees that. So I'm going to need you to go ahead and just cut Izzy's access off of this thing. He's out of here.
I love it. No, we take dissenting. We got Chiefs fans in here too, and half of the group can't stand it. So it's all love, brother. It's all love.
No, it is. But the other big event this week, and this is one that I scream about this, I yell about this. I don't think anybody else is paying attention to this. And it's one of the things that I don't care if you're investing, trading, standing on the sidelines like we're all science experiments and laughing at us. I don't care. Remember the Star Trek episode with that one? Best episode ever. Where the aliens captured the humans and they put them into trading environments in a trading pit, trading mythical commodities, and made notes on human behavior because it brought out the best and worst of humanity. It's just a phenomenal episode.
I see why that's your favorite episode. To be honest.
Yeah. It's right there. So, but anyway, all of the private equity firms reported earnings last week, or in the last week, and they had their conference calls. Guys, you've got to be reading the transcripts of these calls. I don't even listen to conference calls anymore. They're long, they're boring. Most of the information I don't care about, and that's any company, by the way. But private equity they're the shock troops of the global economy, okay? Especially the larger ones. They're out there, they're buying businesses, they're selling businesses, they're making loans, they're borrowing money, they're buying and selling real estate. They're doing everything at a street level in the global economy. They're seeing stuff that the economists in the office in New York and Washington do not see. All right.
Mhm.
They're doing cash in, cash out basis. So what they're doing matters. Now, the only difference between them and a staid, green eye shadowed value investor, because private equity is value investing at the heart of it, they just use a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's made them really good, borrowers and lenders in the meantime. You got to listen into their calls because they're going to tell you things that are important. And it's shocking how much they will tell you on the calls. Now, Leon Black is no longer at Apollo because of the whole, mix up, and he once ran into Epstein in a bar somewhere with neighbors. So he got me too'd. But Leon on the Apollo calls used to just be, he just slid open a vein and talk, right? And it was just remarkable how much information they'd give away. But all of them kind of do it. Schwartzman at Blackstone along with John Gray. So let's just kind of recap what we've learned this week. And Blackstone was the big call. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Blackstone is one of the largest, most successful private equity firms in the history of the world. That's how they got to be to, $250 billion in assets or whatever they have. So look at this. C.A. Forsman, whoever it is, they know the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Now, see, you're up on a geek level that's the equivalent of my wife now, who actually knows dialogue and episode dates and all that stuff. So I just thought it was a cool episode. But
Chris is a sharp guy. He's been around a few times. Also plays hockey, so he's got a ton of bonus points.
If Ice Dancing's your thing, baby, you go for it.
Ice dancing.
All right. So Blackstone, John Gray comes out, and they're on the call. John Gray is now the president of Blackstone. He'll be president till in about 75 years when Schwartzman finally passes away at the age of 170 or something. He's one of those guys just never leaving. But he came up through the real estate division. He built the Blackstone real estate division. So he knows a little bit about commercial real estate. Blackstone is one of, if not the largest owner of commercial real estate on the planet. Okay. They're active in markets all over the world. Mm-hmm. They also, a few years ago, when, and you may remember the headlines when Blackstone was having problems with withdrawals from their private real estate fund, they were having to there was a contractual max in there that you can only withdraw 2.5% of the total NAV, and they were having to turn down because everybody was getting their money out of real estate. At the time, they were actively cutting back their exposure to office. They got down to the point where the office exposure in the Blackstone funds across the board was 2% of real estate assets. So John Gray comes out and he says, guys, real estate's bottom. Commercial real estate has bottom. Now think about the significance of that remark and what it means for industry, for banks, for the economy, for jobs, for everything. And he said, office. He said, and this is something that if you've been listening to me, you already knew this. So John's apparently reading my mail again. He's got to stop. But high grade, well-located office, all right, mm-hmm. has bottom. Now, I could have told you that because the REITs and the debt started responding several months ago. But you've got to be looking now. Office REITs have Class A office space for the most part. You got to be looking at these. You got to be looking at the preferred stocks and these things that are still heavily discounted, because I'm telling you, the bottom is in commercial real estate. Greg goes on to make a couple great points, and I'm cheating here because I'm going to the actual call. He says that the biggest thing in here right now is that the economy is healthy. All right. And I talk about that on every one of the calls, whether it's the yield report or banking on profits mm-hmm. or the new trade alert service every week. The economy is in much better shape than anybody wants to admit. It's not terrible. It's not awful. In fact, it's really, really good. And under this administration's policies of lower regulations, favorable lending environments, pro-business, it should get better. So take that. Now look at commercial real estate broadly across the board. We've seen a decline in new supply. It was always 3% of supply in starts back in 2021, 2022. That's even in the hot areas like logistics. That's now down under 1%. It's below zero in office. So there's no new supply coming on. We look at this so-called office crisis, and I'm just going to tell you right now, in 5 years, there will be a real estate crisis, and it'll be severe, and it'll be a shortage of Class A office space in cities like New York, Boston, Seattle. See, so I said Boston there. Got that right in.
I did. I did.
But no, I can't. Yeah, but Boston's
Now, if
one
you
of those.
start hanging your R's on all of the stuff here, then I'm going to be a little concerned. But for now, we're in good shape.
No, we're in good shape. So that's one call, Blackstone, and it's just this massive, bullish, blowing the horn, sound the alarm, ringing the bell. The bottom is in. Now I gave you all those REITs last week. None of you bought them because you're busy day trading. I'm just telling you.
I wouldn't. I don't know about that.
Well, I know, but you got to throw that out there. So I annoy some people this morning.
Okay. I actually, there were several people that actually asked me to give them the list.
Good.
I think you did have some buyers of those, Tim.
Good. I mean, REITs, look, REITs should be a bigger percentage of your long-term portfolio than they are. We'll say that. We'll defend that later on if we need to. But let's get back to these calls. We've got some cool stuff to talk about today. KKR came on, and they, little more subdued call, no blowing of the trumpets and ringing of the bells, but they said, look, it's going to be really volatile. And that's been proven so far. It's going to be volatile geopolitically, economically, politically, domestically. There's going to be a lot of noise, a lot of and it's going to create volatility. Mixed master, if I could pump and dump commercial real estate, I would be the king of the damn world. And that goes for Blackstone too. It's almost impossible to pump and dump commercial real estate. So, but anyway, back to KKR. What did KKR have to say? They're really bullish on infrastructure. And they're looking at data center, energy, ports, airports, all the stuff that we've talked about. There are ways to play that. We've got a bunch of them in the yield report if you care. And we're going to be adding more. That's like top of list stuff. By the way, if I upset anybody with my comment, please don't be. I'm sarcastic and I take jabs and shots, and it's all in good fun. And yes, I do laugh at my own jokes. Like, I'm from Jersey. We're from Baltimore. We imported it.
I've never heard that, but that's actually pretty good. I would second what Lion said here. You're a blessing and a breath of fresh air, not the same thing that we hear from people. So keep doing you, Tim.
So KKR, volatility, really big on infrastructure, and make volatility your best friend, not your worst nightmare. Apollo, now this is also big. This isn't quite Blackstone big, but this is big. I've said for some time, I've made a lot of money from bank consolidation, and I expect to make a lot more. Okay. Let's see. Jonathan is pissed because I said that about REITs. Jonathan, I'm gonna check my calendar and see what time today later I can care. Okay. But
I saw that one coming a mile away.
Yeah, right.
Saw that one coming a mile away.
Yeah. The next area of consolidation has always been asset managers. Okay. And there's too many, just way too many mutual fund managers and hedge funds and private everything. There's too many. Apollo said, look, guys, we're going to do some M&A this year. Said, we're going to buy, like they just announced they bought a big infrastructure management. We're going to selectively buy pieces that fit into our long-term view. And by the way, insurance companies, PE companies have been buying a lot of insurance companies over the last few years because it's captured assets. Okay. It's assets that aren't going anywhere because they have very long lives tied to insurance policies and annuities. So Apollo is going to be buying insurance companies. They're going to be buying asset managers in specialty areas. This is one that I think you want to get in front of a little bit, because there is going to be a big M&A wave in capital markets. Okay. Not as big as banks, but it's going to be pretty big. And anyway, now on to the name from the past sprang up the other night. It's one that triggered, kind of a quasi revolution in investing. And it's a guy from Rochester, New York. that nobody had ever really heard of, named Robert Novi Marx, who came out in 2012 with a study that just simply said, look, profitability works as well as deep value. When you put profitability and value together, whether combining them half profitability, half deep value, all kinds of really cool things happen. Now, Novi Marx used a completely different definition of profitability. Because what does everybody else use? Earnings.
Revenue minus expenses, right?
Well, they use earnings to determine profitability. That's your measurement. The real measure is what you just hit, gross profitability. Okay. Everything below revenues minus cost of goods, everything below that line is garbage. Or he called it Jedi mind tricks and accounting gimmicks. Okay. When a professor talks about Jedi mind tricks, a finance guy, you already like the guy. So
I said that about my bartender in college too. They had a drink called the Jedi mind trick, and let me tell you, that thing worked.
Yes, and at that point, though, those were the drones they were looking for. The drones they were looking for.
Done.
So it's just gross profits is a percent of the assets used to produce those profits. So that's it. You look at gross profits and you compare it to the assets that were used to produce the profits. And that's the screen. So, and if we look at that, so what are the most profitable companies in the world by that measure? Well, it's Apple, it's Nvidia, it's Meta, Walmart, MasterCard, Home Depot, Novo Nordisk. And these are all companies that if you think quality and you think profitable, these are right there. I mean, they're top of the list. But when you start to get down to small and mid cap, Ryan, it just gets fun and it gets interesting. And I've even got, and I get to the point where I almost just kind of search for these every time I'm on a screen. I have a Ryan Faloona special this morning.
Let's go, dude.
This one is right up your alley. This is
perfect.
United Kingdom company, UK, our good friends. And it's just got a name that, Ryan, you're going to appreciate. It's gambling.com.
What's the ticker?
GAMB. It trades here in the United States.
Tim, you know me too well. I am definitely interested in this. I'll be honest with you.
This is a fantastic company. Look at the returns this business is earning. They're going to have a monster earnings increase this year. Just steady, consistent, very high returns on assets, on equity, on capital. I'm going to come back in here. And there we go. All right. Let me get my sorter to work here, Ryan, and we'll get to where I'm trying to go. But it just consistently very high profit margins for this business. It's kind of crazy. So that's gambling.com. And if you notice, you're not paying a ton of money for what they're going to make because the United Kingdom's so out of step. And by the way, if you're a long-term growth-oriented investor and you're not starting to go, what are the really good companies in the UK? Should we be looking at those? The answer is yeah, you really should be.
Yeah, and the answer from you last week was yes. I believe you said it was the world was starting to hate it so much that you were starting to get interested. That was a week ago.
Yeah, look, I like Europe. I'm in love with European banks and have been for a while. We're starting to really get the pencil out on European REITs. And we did real well with European REITs coming out of the great financial crisis. And we've consistently made money in European banks because they're the manic depressive stocks of the world. Right. I mean, if it just, and fortunately, the European banks have decades of inbred corruption and all kinds of stuff that just creates scandal that makes for buying opportunities. But just the returns on gambling.com, and you can buy this for an 18 multiple, and they're not expecting gambling to stop anytime. I mean, gambling, the growth rates to stop or come in at any point in time. So this is just this fantastic company. Trading at bargain multiples, It's obviously the gambling is related to business, but it's a marketing company. They do digital marketing for online gambling. Focuses on iGaming, something I've never understood, but that applies to much about life, and sports betting. So it's a global company. They've got some international partnerships, but they're big player in the UK.
And just kind of looking at the chart here, Bernhard was saying two floating islands here. He's referring to this and then this. I will say, as far as the chart goes, I actually really do like this setup, right? We just had a push. It looks like we kind of made a double top up here around 16, but we just had a recent push higher, filled the gap on the way back down. To me, it sure looks like a next move here would be a trade towards 16 and then maybe a breakout on there. Tim, I don't own this one, but it's time to add this to my list. Time to add this one to my list. It was a good call. You're spot on with this so far.
Okay, then there's a Tim special, because I have caught more flack, and just the more people tell me I'm a moron for buying these things, and the more I buy them, and that is online and for-profit education companies. I have always loved the business, and we got involved back when Apollo got involved after the big federal scandal years ago. Lincoln Educational is primarily aimed at post-secondary, recent high school graduates. Their big market is working adults. They have some campuses, but of course, most of it is online. It's a great business with big returns, really high profitability, massive earnings increase projected for this year, and ongoing earnings growth for the next several years. It's pretty underfollowed by Wall Street, as in ain't nobody following it.
What's the ticker?
LINC.
LINC, Link.
Mm-hmm. So, and let me just pull up.
Actually, this has a pretty sweet looking chart too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do charts. I leave that to you to come on and tell me whether or not the chart's great or awful or what it is. But yeah, listen, these guys have a good balance sheet. It's solid. There's zero chance of financial distress in the near-term future. They're earning great returns. You're not paying a lot for this business. I do not think that for-profit education is going away. In fact, I think it becomes a bigger player because here you can go out and you can get the degree that you need to move ahead in your career or learn skills for, I don't know, 1 day's interest on an Ivy League education. So it just makes more and more sense as the traditional college model becomes more and more, not feasible in today's society. So LINC is another one, very high gross profitability. And then one more, and this is a smaller one, just throwing some names out at you guys today. Spartan Nash, SPTN. This is food. And they sell food to the military primarily. They sell food to military commissaries, grocery products. So all of these that are retired military or active duty military, if you're buying food on a commissary, you're probably doing some business with this particular company. If you're in the Midwest, they have Family Fairs, supermarkets, No Frills, Bag and Save, Family Fresh Markets, D&W Fresh Market, Sun Mart, and Econo Foods. It is based in the booming metropolis, and actually it is kind of booming, great business-oriented community, Grand Rapids, Michigan, been around since 1917.
Indeed. I'll tell you what, Grand Rapids, for those of you that have never gone, Grand Rapids is a great place to go on a little quick vacation. Did that a few years ago. Econo Foods, predominant supermarket chain up in Door County, Wisconsin, the Cape Cod of the Midwest. So familiar with that as well.
Yeah, and for a grocery store business and distributor, these guys have great margins. The gross profitability is, right in there where we want it to be, as in a very high. So this is just a great, really profitable business that's been around since 1917. It's growing. And again, this is the third company in a row now that fits the screen. I did not screen for this, I promise you. There's only a couple analysts following it, and the ones that are looking for a monster earnings increase this year.
Izzy lives in Grand Rapids. Oh, Izzy, the next time I'm out there, we'll coordinate something. They got some great breweries and brew pubs in Grand Rapids. Love to grab a bite and a drink at some point.
Yeah, I was, when the whole Detroit was ending and back in 2008, 2009, what everybody missed was it was like, okay, Michigan banks, they're bad. They're all going to fold. Well, they just said, so they sold off everything in Michigan. So we bought a pocket of, a few banks over in the western part, a couple in Grand Rapids here and there, and they all got taken over because business was actually phenomenal.
Well done.
Yes, we've looked at Suns, SUNS, thinking about it, and we come back around to it and just never do anything with it because we don't love it. But we will come back to that particular REIT next week. I'm going to make a note here. Ryan, you're going to remind me, and we'll put some fresh eyeballs on Suns and see what we think now. But other than that, that's just kind of our pitch on quality investing. I think that this is something that you need to have on your radar, and you can do this in conjunction with value, which you're going to get a much shorter list of stocks, more volatile. But as KKR said, volatility is opportunity. But you just find these really great, ridiculously profitable businesses, and they're as profitable as the Apples, Nvidias, Amazons, and all that. They're just smaller. By the way, Chris Forsman just asked a trick question that I'm not even going to try because I've mispronounced the damn word every time I've ever said it.
I'll take the bait. Kudos to anyone who could pronounce Mackinac Bridge correctly. There you go, Chris.
There you go.
Let me know if I got your kudos or not.
So anyway, that's kind of where we are, guys. I mean, gross profitability belongs in your quiver. If you're not reading the private equity conference calls each and every quarter, you're giving away a huge edge. So that's just kind of my two takeaways for today. That's
why we got you to come on here and help us plug those holes. I know we only have 10 fingers, but we're going to plug those gaps as best we can.
As best we can. So that's what I've got for you this week. JAMB, LINC, SPTN. I actually like all three of those as long-term picks here. Ryan, try to leave some GAMAB shares for everybody else. I mean,
I've already put the call out there. I'll do my best, but no promises.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let me stop by every Wednesday. I shall be back next Wednesday, and we'll talk again real soon. Thanks,
absolutely, Tim. We always look forward to it. Appreciate it. Go Eagles this week. We'll catch up with you next week.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Take care. That is Tim Melvin. Absolutely love it. This is one of my favorite segments. I know we focus on a lot of really kind of quick movers here. It's really great to have that kind of reset by Tim, bring us back down to reality. I remember long-term plays. There's definitely a really good way of constructing your portfolio. And I know we get locked in here every day on movers and day trades and quick trades and chasing profit and all of that stuff. But it's really nice to have some longer term, slower plays that we can rely on too. Tim does a really good job of breaking that down for us. Thinking about it, this is a great question. I love that you're bringing more stuff to the group. The more things that we can uncover and discuss, the smarter we will all be. Awesome. Good morning, Mike. Thinking about it. C-Spot, Crow, good morning. You folks absolutely love it. Tim's departure leaves room for 13. Let's see if he's got his affairs in order. 13, I notice you have a new name here. You have been debugged.
I thought I'd just, throw that in there because of all the problems I was having yesterday, but got that all sorted out. Just a, BIOS update issue. Just had to roll it back to a previous version. Everything's fine now. So let's get to the market.
Indeed it is. I will say you made it through happy hour. Really good tech support turnaround on your part there. You made it through happy hour yesterday. Look and sound fine here this morning. What do you want to dive into first? I've touched none of the movers. I did touch on some of the big earnings like Google and AMD. We talked a little about the Apple story that's yanking it here today. Where do you want to start this morning?
I'm looking at the movers list and there is not a lot to get excited about.
No, there isn't.
So we could really just quickly cover that because I only have a handful of names I could even say anything about.
Okay.
I mean, we could start with KTTA. I know.
Yeah, I was just getting you are absolute. This is perfect. You're literally reading my mind. I think what we'll do is we'll do some more ticker time. I did want to address one question here. Jonathan Hunt is asking, who is this Izzy person? I always hear them mentioned and I never see them in the chat. This is a great time to remind you folks that this stream does not discriminate on streaming platforms. We stream on YouTube, X, and Twitch. And sometimes you'll miss comments from that. Izzy is one of our loyal X viewers. So if you're in YouTube, you might not see that chat. I see the consolidated chat from being here on Restream. So we have multiple audiences, Jonathan. Be sure to tell your friends that we have multiple ways that you can actually catch the stream here. But that is what is going on. So hopefully that clears that up. Okay, let's go ahead. And also KTTA was one of the stock. It looks like several of our group is already trading it here today. So I think we should definitely try and cover that. And then it sounds to me like we're going to have plenty of ticker time here today for other things. So I don't know what's going on with my charts here. I might have to try and refresh. My other chart was just working fine. Let's see. Maybe it's just something on that workspace. Yep. So here, I'll just stay right here, at least for KTTA. So let me go ahead and break this down. Then I definitely want to get your opinion on things. Let me see if I can pronounce this correctly here. Pasitha, I think is what this is. So Pasitha Therapeutic shares are trading higher after the Safety Review Committee recommended proceeding to Cohort 5 in its phase 1 trial of PAS 004 without modification. Now, stock here, the big takeaway here. Oh, okay, it's the intraday chart. That might be screwed up. Stock here is up 66, almost 67% here today, right at the 100-day moving average. Let's take a quick look around the horn here. Short interest, negligible, less than 1%, just barely less than 1% of the float shorted, and 1 day to cover here. The float, 1.04 million. So this pretty much right in our range here, and it is highly traded here today. 13, I'm assuming this is one of the ones that you covered. What do you got?
Yeah, so this news that we got here, it's still has to do with their phase 1 clinical trial, but they're doing it in separate cohorts. So this cohort 5, they've just been given the okay to proceed. So there's no modifications, meaning there's no money they have to spend taking the time to fix anything from the prior cohorts. They also had announced back in January on the 14th that they had completed the initial dosing of cohort 4. So cohort 4 is already underway. And this just is news of them clearing the way unobstructed or, not held back by anything to go proceed to cohort 5. Now, the concerning thing I had when I was looking at their website into their pipeline is that it doesn't appear like their website has been updated in some time. So I don't have a really good read on how far out this is going to go, or what their next expectation is, or when they're going to be doing dosing. And they also have other drugs in the pipeline that they have to do with MS and
ALS.
Yeah. So, and schizophrenia. So
yep.
it looks like it doesn't appear to me like that's been updated in a while, considering that the notes that they're talking about, are from, about a year ago. So I don't have any indication of where this is going, or what to expect next in terms of a date, like I, usually bring here. But they do have about 2 to 3 quarters of cash. So I don't think there's going to be any real need for them to raise capital right now. They're apparently within compliance. Don't think that's an issue either. So as far as how much movement we're going to get today, I mean, we are trying to recapture the VWAP, and it is a very low float stock. So we could see some pretty good movement out of it. I think this news came across. It may have come across as early as yesterday? No, this is all this morning. So this the initial move this morning went up to 462. Have not seen that print yet. Have been underneath the VWAP ever since that impulse move. We are just now getting back over it. So as long as we can hold above VWAP, that might bode well for a run at least into the open, or just after we open here. that takes us back up to that pre-market high of 462. That's what
Okay.
I did before.
Really good stuff. I'm obviously still struggling with some of my intraday charts here. I have the daily ones. Looks like
well, if I'm not having technical problems, somebody else has to have.
I was going to say, are they contagious, 13? Did you pass them to me? What the hell is going on here? Okay, KTTA, really good breakdown there on that. We are pretty much sitting right here at the VWAP. The volume looks really good on this. Your report on this was outstanding. So we'll see. This definitely one of the movers that's kind of piquing curiosity here today.
Yeah, and I think for the sake of getting to the pot names that are really starting to get going, I'll just go through the next one real fast because there's nothing really I need to elaborate on. SFHG, that's the other over $1 runner that we have this morning. I think this is just a China pump. It's got 8 million shares in the float. The balance sheet says they have 17 million in cash. That could be RMB or or yuan. So I don't have an exact read on their financials. They don't have any income statements I can see out of Pro. But I don't think there was any real news on this either. It's just moving on what seems to be nothing. So the fact that this is a company that's based in, I believe it's Hong Kong, leads me to believe that this is just another one of these China pumps on a low float stock.
Okay.
And now let's talk pot.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say we probably should also take a look here at some of the cannabis names. It looks like those are all ripping here this morning and moving on volume too. So not just kind of a lighthearted thing here. Crow, looks like you're all over this. I don't think anyone's surprised there. Crow's on top of the blunt stocks. What do you got? Sorry.
Sorry, I just interrupt you, but just keep an eye on KTTA. I just started seeing some decent price action here. I'm just looking to see if we're going to make another move soon. Just keep it on your radar. But anyway, ACB, they had earnings today as well, so that's also helping it get a lift because I think the real big move is potentially coming from RFK nomination. I think that's potentially why this is going. I don't know that for a fact. But you have this one company on the move, and all the other pot companies are on the move. And I don't necessarily think that just because ACB had a good earnings or is moving on earnings, that all the other stocks are going to be doing the same just because they had earnings. It's happened before, but I don't think that's what we're seeing here. I think there's a little bit more going on with the cannabis industry, and that could be because of RFK's imminent nomination, or I'm sorry, confirmation.
Okay. Good stuff there on that. Again, sorry I'm struggling with the chart so much here. I must just have to keep it on daily, at least for right now. We'll see what happens when we open up. It's worth noting that the entire basket of these stocks are moving. So we talked a little bit there about ACB. It's also worth mentioning CGC here. I know Tilray is was a favorite here, I guess. I mean, this is only up 5% here. It looks like ACB, the biggest recipient of that you had mentioned, has earnings on the back of that as well.
They did all pop on the ACB earnings, Mike. Because then I'm not correct about that. I thought that it wouldn't make as big of a difference. I haven't read it into their earnings, so I should mention that. But I thought there was a little bit more to the move in cannabis. Not just one company having a good earnings.
Yeah, C-Spot here was mentioning Trump is talking about legalizing it. Might be something to keep an eye on the back burner. Trump, RFK, the administration, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you hear more about that, to be quite honest with you.
That's more along the lines of what I was thinking, why it's moving. And it could very well also be that ACB's earnings are helping lift the sector. But
Mo here, sorry to cut you off. I thought you were done there. Mo here giving us contrarian opinion. RFK is going to refer to the DEA. There's a low chance of rescheduling. And this is, I mean, what you're highlighting here is this is one of the things that we've talked about a lot with some of these pot names. This rescheduling is going to be one of the biggest catalysts here. So whether or not our predictions on what's going to happen here are correct, this is definitely something to watch.
The whole pot theme relies on the rescheduling, because once that happens, then you have banks that are allowed to lend to these companies. Right. You have a whole working economy around it. So that needs to happen first and foremost. It cannot be a Schedule I drug anymore, or it's just going to stay where it is.
Okay. All right. I guess that's pretty much it here for the movers. BBAI, I guess we could talk about just because this has been moving recently.
And I'm pretty sure Mike's mentioning BlackBerry as well. That's got a pretty good setup here. We're approaching the highs from yesterday, and it looks like we could rocket past it if we get the volume spike. This is just BlackBerry BB.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
I'm completely dead with the charts, man. I'm sorry about that.
Of course.
Here's your daily chart on BlackBerry. Let's see if we get any intradays. Nope. Man, oh man. All right. What other stocks do you folks want to take a look at here today? I'll go over to my main workspace or my bigger chart here, and we can prepare for some of those. I think someone mentioned Disney earlier.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Here is your Disney chart. I feel like it's been a minute since we've taken a look here at the Disney chart. We did recapture the trend line that we had added here a while ago. Does look like we're actually trying to break out here at 115. Disney shares trading higher, up by about just over 1.5% today on the backs of some Q1 earnings. Conference calls currently ongoing, so maybe we'll hear some more stuff there. Sorry, and I didn't actually prepare for this because I don't really care much about Disney, so I'm just kind of reading through it as we're doing this now. Disney sees fiscal year 25 cash from operations about $15 billion, adjusted EPS high single digits. Disney Plus subscribers 125 million.
Oh, their subscribers rose 23% year over year,
and they're on pace to repurchase $3 billion of stock in fiscal year 25.
Cash from operations roughly 15 billion. So things are looking much better, and it's not surprising that they are, given that they kind of apparently have seemed to abandon some of these DEI. I guess we'll call them DEI movies and television programs. But that's it's not surprising to me that they'd be doing better. Just a few quarters after they stopped doing. Or maybe a quarter or two after they stopped with that. So maybe there's some more upside for Disney. I'll have to get back to you on that. I need to look into this some more.
Yeah, again, not a huge fan here of Disney. Looking at the chart here, I do think a move through 120 might actually juice this a little bit, and you do have some room up here to maybe 126. Next area above that, probably closer to 129. So.
Yeah, but that bottoming that we did, now to look at it on a longer time frame, that seems like that was a really good era of bottoming, almost 3 years worth of it.
Yeah, July 2022 here. We're really kind of looking at this area here at about $90.
Yeah, so it looks like 125 could be a pretty good breakout spot at some point. I'll be honest, this isn't not looking too bad. I need to look into this some more.
Okay, there you go. Do some more work on that. We'll check it out here. What else do you folks want to take a look at other than Disney? Quantum here. Oh boy, you guys threw out a bunch. I'm way behind. Sorry about that.
I thought I saw somebody asking me about something here. Let me.
I'm just kind of going. There were a ton of tickers suggested here. I'm just kind of rolling through them here. SMCI, Larry mentioning that SMCI is popping here. I'd love to hear what you folks think. Here is the pop that Larry's talking about. We're basically popping right to Friday's intraday highs here. For me, I'm still not really interested in SMCI unless something has really changed here. Looks like we do have a fresh PR here. Supermicro ramps full production of NVIDIA Blackwell rank scale solutions with NVIDIA HGX B200. So you're getting a PR there involving NVIDIA. That's what's popping SMCI here. I'm not necessarily interested in this one, but it is popping here on a PR.
Apparently, they're going to be building the data centers, the servers for XAI. So, we'll see how that pans out. They were using, X was using them. And Dell, and then this whole, short report, the whole fiasco with SMCI, and they stopped using them, and now they just made this deal with them. I think it was late last year. So until something changes, I guess they're the ones that are going to be building the supercomputer that XAI wants to have. Real quick, AAPG I was asked about earlier. This is a recent
APG, Alpha Papa Golf.
AAPG, yeah.
AAPG, okay.
I was being asked about this. They were asking me my take on this. My take is this is an IPO out of China, and I don't know how much faith I would have in this one. I don't know anything about this company. Looking at the balance sheet that they have available here, it looks like they have 1.1 billion in cash. What kind of cash that is? It's probably RMB or yuan. I don't. I mean, it's a biotech company too. So right off the top of my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is just another company that's going to do research on and eat cash left and right. They're probably not going to have any income for some time, if ever. So to me, this is going to be just a trading vehicle. I would not hold this for any prolonged period of time because I expect that this would just be very volatile, and it could go to great heights, but it could go to the center of the earth. So I just be careful with this one. I don't think this is one to hold. This is just going to be a day trading vehicle.
Looks like that IPO price 17.25 here. I'm with you on that. I mean, where's the money going to come from? All that China ties, yeah. Trading vehicle, and I think that's a really good summary there. AAPG, new stock to keep an eye on, though, at least.
Yeah. This is involved in novel small scale therapies for cancers, Hep B, HBV, and certain age-related diseases. So without even going to their webpage to look at what's actually in their pipeline, it sounds like they have an ambitious schedule that they have to get through. But I don't know anything about this company, and I don't know I just don't know anything about this company, and the fact that it's a biotech out of China just makes me want to, only be in and out of this really quick and not do anything else with it until I have some more data.
Yeah, or stay away from it completely. I'm with you there. Jay, good morning. Great to see you. Did you do ACB already? Yeah, we reported that this popping here up 27% on earnings. Obviously, there was also some talk about the administration rescheduling cannabis. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there's been some talk about that. But yeah, that's what's popping ACB here. Thing to note, we did pop through the 20 and the 50-day. We're just shy of that 100-day. And this is also causing some other stocks in the pot sector to pop, most notably CGC and Tilray. HIMS was another one that you folks wanted to take a look at. This thing has been an absolute rocket ship recently. And I just had a chart here. I don't know what the heck's going on. I don't know what the heck is going on here.
Real quick,
do you have a working chart? Never mind. Here it is. I don't understand. Anyway, here is your HIMS daily chart here. Just recently, completely vertical. Completely vertical. There are several of you talking about this one too. God. I have trouble finding those comments, guys. Big B is saying, I'm really starting to like this company as its subscription count continues to increase. That's I get good for investors. I'll tell you what, I have personally stayed away from companies that force you to buy their products on subscriptions. Not my thing. I am absolutely rebelling against that. So, but I understand stock's absolutely ripping here. Look at this. Look at this recent move. And I've not been a part of this one, unfortunately.
That's a very, very good question, Jay Rice. I would be starting to wonder the same thing. But let me get to BBAI that folks are asking about, because it is hitting some new highs here in the pre-market. So this could end up being something we trade as well. Now, it's
which one? Which ticker? Sorry,
BBAI.
Oh, BBAI.
Yep. It's kind of okay. So we've made it through, or kind of getting hanging out just above this consolidation area back from the beginning of 2022. But if we start to move up and out of that, I think there's going to be another big resistance area between 585 and 595, and that's from I'm getting that from this peak on July 25th of 2022, and the low from March 22nd, 2022. They're right about in that same area, and that to me is a resistance area that became support. And it was resistance in July, became support in March, and so that's why I think this is going to be an important level to consider on the way up here. And we could move right to it right here in the pre-market if we break 550, because I see there's a pretty good seller's wall right there. And if we go beyond that, then I would say maybe 680 would be another level to consider taking profits at, as that is the high, about the high from early February of 2023.
Okay, good mention there on the chart. Thinking about it was asking, was there news? Yes, Big Bayer AI awarded contract by the Department of Defense Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office.
Oh,
Financial terms not disclosed.
man. Okay. Well, whoever, I don't know who said it, but whoever was saying that BBAI could be the next Palantir, you're starting to look a lot more correct with that headline.
We got a long way to go, but
Yes, you're right.
okay, let's be careful there.
But
This is a good start.
But
And
yeah,
actually, let's see if is Palantir. Okay, so Palantir is a little bit weaker. I mean, given the move that it's had recently, I wouldn't really read too much into that, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Headline.
And I know, maybe was it Ryan? I know Ryan is on this one quite a bit. Thinking about it, BBAI, the mini Palantir.
And it's got AI in the name. That's how you know it's good.
Glenn also on top of that. Okay. Really good. All right. What else do we want to take a look at here? You guys are throwing out a lot of charts here. I'm trying to pick the ones that are actually doing something.
I'm just marking off those levels I mentioned in BBAI. So
we can take a look here at Uber. I know they reported earnings here this morning. Trading lower here by about 5.3%. Let me see. I've got the stats here. Actually, just get it from Pro. Uber Technologies Q4 sales $12 billion. That beat the estimate there of $11.7 billion. Gross bookings are up. Trips jumped 18% year over year. Gross bookings growth 17 to 21%. Looks all right. Uber anticipates healthier U.S. pricing backdrop in 2025.
Yeah, it looks like the Q1 bookings growth forecast did not resonate well with investors. I think that's the big reason here. I could be wrong about that, but that's what it looks like. And did we also have kind of keep an eye on KTTA, by the way? Didn't we also have like a big run up into these earnings? Kind of.
It was somewhat of a run up, but would I call it a big one? I mean, it was basically 60 to where we're at now, 60 to 69.
Yeah, I mean, since January, it's been a nice move upwards to the 200. But man, what a rejection of the 200 right on earnings. So either earnings was going to break through 200 or was going to do this. So now the hope is that 50-day SMA provides support.
Ryan, Uber never holds stocks into earnings. So our resident Uber trader here giving you the pro tip. Avoid the binary event traded after. I guess my question here today is, and I'm going to put you on the spot because you talk about Uber. Is this a buy down here? Is this a buy down here for a potential day trade 66.5? Do we trade up is the bottom end? We'll see how the opening print treats this thing. What else do you folks want to take a look at here? Let me see if there's anything else that's moving around.
BBAI is moving up to that 585, 590 area pretty quick now. Just put in a pre-market print of 568.
Okay, Lion here. Call is Uber is a short. Is he saying 65? I'll buy. Round one. Fight.
And for that short, where are you looking to cover? Is it going to be about 60, where we were bottoming back in December? I'm just curious. Oh, 65. Okay, perfect. So that's just a little bit above. That's actually not too far away from where we're at. You sure you don't want to get it lower? It looks like it could go lower, but that's, we'll wait and see.
Yassine mentioning that the CEO is on CNBC right now talking about the autonomous driving, and talking about Waymo in Austin and Atlanta. So he's got his traditional tight black shirt on CNBC there. Charlie and Paul, you want to take a look at Cooler?
Yeah, so Cooler, not looking okay here with the 50-day SMA, or the price is trading beneath the 50-day SMA right now. You do have support, looks like at around 180. That was a previous resistance area back from early December, and now the price has come down to test that as support. It looks like it could go lower. This was part of that big space squeeze that we saw. So this is going to probably go when some of those other space stocks collectively go as well, unless there's some other news. Remember, this also has Bitcoin attached to it because they end up picking some up. I'll be honest, this looks like it could make some lower prints before it goes higher. I would think maybe closer to the 125 area is where there's some pretty decent consolidation. But when we were talking about these space stocks last year and all the quantum names and the drone names and everything, we were mentioning that after this run, these are going to have to come in and just be patient with these, and we can pick them up later. I don't know that that the bottom is in for a lot of these speculative names. In all of those 4 different themes we talked about. So it could take some more time for the bottom to be put in with Cooler and the space stocks and the quantum stocks and all those other ones that had a really big move at the end of the year last year.
Okay, good stuff there on Cooler. The huge move really far, really fast. We'll see when it turns around here, but not necessarily shocked to see a pullback off that huge move there that we had.
Keep in mind, remember, the CEO said that they're not doing a reverse split, which I think that might not be a good idea, but they said they're not going to do it. And so they're going to move forward with their 261 million share float. So that's another reason why you're seeing the price continue to trickle down, is because that is a large float to push back up. It's going to take a lot of attention and a lot of traders to get on this in order for it to have the price action we were getting late last year.
Okay, good stuff. Mike saying, I took a Waymo twice while I was in LA for a 4-block drive. Mike, I'm glad that we saw you back here. We'll take a look at EA here next. We'll also take a look at TMDX Shrikar for you. EA, this one was interesting. Remember, we talked with Anne-Marie where we took a look at this for a potential play here. Remember, EA really sold off on the pre-announcement for their earnings. So they actually had their earnings yesterday. And here we are, plus just shy of 3% here today. A couple of things. They planned a $1 billion accelerated buyback program. Tony, I know you said that EA is up on this. There's no doubt that is playing a role here. That's pretty good. I don't really think there was anything else in here. It looks like the bad news was kind of out of the way from that pre-announcement. Nintendo cuts fiscal year 25 Switch sales guidance as Switch 2 launch looms. We'll see how that affects EA when that comes out.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, Nintendo having a good morning.
And real quick here, I'll go to Nintendo next, but just to kind of wrap up the trade idea here, I actually am long this for the print, and I know we talk a lot about maybe not exposing yourself to a binary event. Remember, this was a 2-leg trade where the gains in the first leg were already booked, so it was a lot easier for me to handle a position over that binary event, and it looks like that's going to end up working out here. Knock on wood. Maybe I should do that before I make the early call here. So looking to close this position. It's a small trailer. It is the February 1:30 calls. So we'll look to exit that here today, probably see how EA does. All right. You want to take a look at us? I also want to take a look at, you know what? I promised him, sorry, 13. You kind of cut in line there. We're going to have to wait. I'm going to do TMDX here real quick.
Okay.
I just don't want to ignore Shrieker, but you're asking for key levels here. This is not a stock that I follow at all. One of the things that I definitely be worried about is the current downtrend that we're in and we're unable to get out of. So we're at a spot where we kind of want to test this right here. Anyway, like literally right here, 72 to 74, downside area that I would not want to lose down here about $56. I think if you lose that, you got a date with 36 next there. So Transmedics, again, I don't really have a line on this. I'm sorry. Was there any news or anything recently here? Not really. Those are ambulance chasing law firm PRs there. Needham reiterated a hold on this. It doesn't really seem like anything's going on here, my man.
I was asked if I could provide levels for KTTA. I don't know if I did. I think I only mentioned the pre-market high and VWAP. But for some other level to watch for, we're kind of at one right now, and we have a several walls of sellers at 365 and 370. And that's because when I look at the daily chart, we're coming up to an area where there's a lot of consolidation from starting from that area. So this is going to be a really important area to get through. And if we do manage to start pushing through it and get into the fours, I think we're going to have another big area of resistance as high as 445 to 450. So that would be the next two things to watch for, just to see if it can get through this 365, 370 area on its way up to potentially 445, 450.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Sorrel mentioning FMC. Man, oh man.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about a disaster. You talk about FMC here. Dumped hard on earnings, even though it beat, indeed. And just FYI, I actually hold this one. I'm getting ready to take another loss here. This thing can't get out of its own way. It has been nothing but down since my purchase. I did take a little bit. I only added once to it, and I added very small. Going to kind of wait for a pop back and then maybe sell this into a pop.
I still hold this in my longer term account. So just going to maybe look at this and make some considerations on that after these earnings. But I don't have this in my trading account anymore. I was trading back and forth, and now we are open.
We are open. Really quickly, just to finish up here, massive price cuts on FMC. Massive price cuts. Really horrible things being said by the management out of that earnings call. Not good. 13. You correct me if I'm wrong here. I took away no positives from this earnings print on FMC.
Yeah, like I said, I need to look into this some more, make a decision. But if I need to unwind it, I have ways of doing that.
Yep. Okay. We are open. Let's see what we can get here.
And since we didn't get to it, Nintendo new all-time high today. It's an OTC stock. The ticker's NTDOY. This thing is just ripping into the launch of the Switch 2. Anyway, let's see what we can trade here today. Looks like BlackBerry pulled a little bit after making a higher high than yesterday. Tilray kind of going back and forth. ACB, this one looks like it's tried to push up out of the open here. It might not be done. Looking for 5 ACB if we continue to get some volume that helps lift the stock price. KTTA, that one trying to move up here as well. Still running. It's actually making its way through that 370 area that I was mentioning earlier. So it ate up those sellers. Now we just got to get through that. Here we go. We're starting to get going on our way to 4. Looking good.
That's KTTA. Actually, I did just break that right there. Let me cue this up here. Cue this up in my other. Yeah, that might be one of the bigger ones today. Okay. And actually, I do have. Thank you, producer.
Disney on the move. Looking for the pre-market high of 118.20.
We had asked earlier, poll results are in here. With China's probe into Apple, are you unsure about Apple, bearish or bullish? Unsure got 39%, bearish got 33%, and bullish, the lowest value there, 27%. So Apple, first move here out of the gate was higher. KTTA, by the way, pulling back here now. Lost the VWAP.
BBAI, yep. Thanks, Vintage. Right to that, almost to that, to the exact penny. The 585. So I was mentioning 585 to I believe 595. We got 584 on that move up in BBAI, and now we're pulling. So pretty close to that level. Looks like BlackBerry still trying to move up. Disney just broke through that pre-market high. That's a big move out of the gate. No, I didn't say NTTY. I said KTTA, I believe.
I think were you asking about I think, Lion, I think you're referring to the Nintendo's ticker, which is NTDOY.
Yes, NTDOY.
I think that's what he's asking. I don't really know. Tony, how about that EA move right out of the gate here? Here is your Electronic Arts move right out of the gate. Went right to 130 and stopped there. Pretty awesome. See if that continues. here today. All right. I got a lot of stuff going on here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find something that looks good enough to trade. That's
OGen penny stock, OGEN, maybe a breakout from 60 there. KTTA pullback. That's pretty much at the VWAP. ACB pulled off those highs. Actually, this might be trying to roll through that VWAP. We'll see if that speeds up here at all. EYPT back down here in a 7 handle. Boy, that was such a good trade from 7 to 20. Back down here at 7.
That really had a fall, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. Not the greatest looking daily chart there either.
Look at BlackBerry. I got to see if there was news in this thing. I mean, look, this is going with your cybersecurity theme as well. But I'm just really impressed with this move. It's already almost 2x. Actually, it's over 2x now. Since
real quick, Jared asking about REBN. Looks like this did spike here in the pre-market. Didn't see any news. Came back in though. Here is BlackBerry. 2x from what? From when?
Late last year, like December.
Yeah. Nice little move off the bat. You still got some room here?
Yeah. Just looking to see what the news is today. I mean, maybe Arctic Wolf acquires BB's Silent security assets. So there's an acquisition. So they're selling some of their. I don't know if that's part of their. They have actual assets, like actual software that they wrote, or if it's just patents. But they're selling that, so there's some more money for them. Disney just right up to that pre-market high and right back down. ACB, this thing's moving now.
AMD dipped a little bit and then started trading higher here. Still down 9.5%, but maybe this is turning around. Google, Cat might have a hairball. Google, same deal here. Looks like a dip and a hold there. Be interesting to see if any of these tech names turn around.
It looks like cannabis still trying to, make a move.
VLCN from yesterday continuing its move down. Be careful with those. TEM, the Pelosi push is still good, folks. Rip right out of the gate here. 68. This thing looks like it's making a dash towards 70. Buddy, are you okay? 13, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, BBAI looking pretty good. And it looks like, looks like we got a little pull there in BlackBerry. BBAI, where did I have that on my list? There it is. So looking to push through that 590 on the way to 6, and then after that, we were looking at potentially 680 as the next upside target after we get through these high fives. Yeah, KTT rejected at the open, but pushing again. That's good news. Hasn't gotten past the intraday high yet. Still trying to get back above VWAP as well. Looks like ACB is still trying to push higher, but it's running into a bunch of sellers at about 510. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of and now they're getting eaten alive. Let's go BBAI and SMCI. ACB still trying to push up. Let me see if I can get you some other levels on ACB. Because if this thing is going to be a mover today, we're going to want to know where these resistance levels are. What do you say? So
Sorry about that, 13.
No problem. Looks like ACB just ran into the 200 EMA and is now trading over it. Let me see if I can get you some other levels here. Looks like, oh, wow. Okay. So somewhere between 615 and 625 looks like there's going to be another resistance area. When I look at the weekly, you have the 65 EMA right there at about 617. But this topping out, this price action at about 625 to 630, that's the real interesting part here. I think that's going to be a big resistance area, potentially even a breakout area if the volume continues. And that's where I would have my sights on, maybe either shaving some off or just taking profits and being out. But if you look at a weekly chart of ACB, you can see that area at about 625 that I'm referring to. Yeah, Mixmaster Mike, we are open. We're open. We're trading. Look at this thing. ACB. We are doing good.
Nice little move there on ACB here. Didn't take that one out of the gate.
KTTA moving down. If we continue to move down, there's support at about 295. About 295, $3. That would be where I see the earliest support. There's no guarantee that we're going to turn around and go, back up and higher once we hit that. It could just be a brief bounce with some, trading to the upside a little bit, but ultimately it just falls through. So we'll have to wait and see what we get from that level. But I think that's a support area.
Okay. See if we get that there on KTTA.
All right, now Disney back to doing Disney things.
EA pull off that initial spike right back to VWAP. Let's see if we can make another run at 130 here on EA. Workday's down. Robert, good morning. I know that you had said Palantir is ripping here. Palantir dip and rip. Looks like 103 was your high there on PLTR. What else is in this list that looks interesting?
Be careful with BBAI. Either we're going to get a break through that resistance area that I mentioned between 585 and 595, or we're going to put in another candle with some upper shadows. And I think we could come down after that candle. If we don't come down here, just watch for what happens at VWAP.
ASST, you guys are mentioning this one here. Penny stock going wild.
ACB still trying to push higher.
Mattel backed off that initial pop. This still holding almost 14% higher though. Ticker MAT.
There's got to be something coming, unless we're just really, traders are just really pushing ACB up on hope. But there must be something coming if there's this much activity in it. Because
REBN, this actually took out the VWAP, is trying to move higher here on REBN. Interesting.
I just
mentioned this earlier. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that just recaptured VWAP after getting support from a level I have here, 450. If you draw a line at 450, you can see how that's played a part in the price action for the past couple of days. As far as where we're headed now, REBN, like I said, we're back over VWAP. Not really liking these wicks that we're putting in here, but if we continue to move up, looks like 535 is a level, as is the pre-market high of 589.
Yeah, we want this to hold here. Looks like it's given up that VWAP.
AVGO, getting asked about Broadcom. Oops. That's a C, not a G, or B.
Broadcom moving lower here. By the way, quick check-in on the market. We are considerably up off the lows here on the market. NASDAQ only down 0.45%. The Dow actually went green, and SPY about near flat. So the pre-market weakness, we've definitely firmed up a little bit here. Breadth actually looks good across the board except for the SPY. So we'll see if that changes here.
Broadcom, compared to yesterday, we gapped up over the 20-day SMA, and now the selling is bringing us closer to a back test of the 20-day SMA. I don't know that it could easily get all the way back down there, but if it runs into some support earlier than that, it's going to probably be at about 226 and 80 cents, where you could see some support come in.
Uber, sorry.
No, I'm done.
Uber here looks like this 64 3/4 here. This actually looks like a tradable spot, right? Looks like we're actually trying to take out the VWAP here, 65.75. This 64.75 would be the stop area here. Been a nice bounce already here on Uber. I actually might take a little bit of this right here at VWAP and C. Okay, and we'll do a stop right beneath these lows here. If we set new lows, we'll be out of this. We'll see if Uber can get rolling here from from the VWAP here. Chris asking Ryan, do you still have the Boeing calls? Yes. So Staff Sergeant Ryan yesterday jumping on here talking about Boeing. It was a really interesting spot that we were looking at on the daily chart. Sure, to me, looks like we're going to try and pop out of this area here. Yes, still do have those calls here, and they are up again, going up about 1.6% here. Let's see, those calls, they're doing all right, plus about 30 cents. Remember, those were the 135 calls that expire in March. Not 135. I paid 135. The 200 call, I paid $1.35 for those calls. So yeah, that's working here, but not great yet.
And today in Boeing, I mean, I guess it's no coincidence that gold is running. We have a golden cross in Boeing.
We actually talked about that coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back to my bigger chart that's got all those indicators on it here real fast. So here is Boeing. We talked about this golden cross yesterday. It is happening here. Wouldn't be shocked if this traded up to the 500, maybe even a little bit more. That's how I selected those 200 calls. Shout out to Staff Sergeant Ryan from yesterday. Good name, by the way. Thinking about it, asking Ryan, are you still in Lyft? Yes. Now Lyft here taking a hit, or it was earlier on Uber. Let's see what is going on. I can't type at all. Lyft down here, another 1.5%. So again, just a reminder here on Lyft, it was just a pretty gigantic, unusual options trade. It was the vertical April 2023 call spread. I just took the bottom end of the call spread instead of taking the spread itself. We're right here at the 200-day. Really, what we really need to happen for this to work is for a pop above this trend line. There was rumors there about potential merger, DoorDash, this M&A stuff. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I will say that this was kind of a lotto play, the Lyft trade. I'll let this go to zero. 25 cents for those calls. Took a small starter. Maybe we'll get a headline that'll turn that lotto into a nice trade there. But if this doesn't work, I'll let these go to zero. It's not really a huge position.
I am looking at KTTA.
KT, baby.
KT. So I'm looking at KT, and I'm thinking this has been beaten up pretty quick. And we come down to those levels I was mentioning earlier about where we could see some support. That's going to be at about 3, unless we're starting to reverse now. Kind of what I'm watching for. We're looking at a short-term bounce here before it likely heads lower.
Cut.
Video moving up.
I'll be honest with you, looking at this KTTA chart, I can be talked into it for a day trade if this thing turns around, but looking at this right now, no thanks. I'll wait for that to confirm a bottom here. All right, Uber.
Yeah, I'm not trying to catch the bottom here. I'm just trying to catch a bounce.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I may end up just, closing it pretty soon here because I got enough.
Come on, Uber. Let's go through your view app. It's trying. Izzy, we're trying. We're trying, Izzy. Let's see if we can get through here on Uber. Only open day trade so far here today.
Hey, no problem, Matthew Caddy. We've been talking about BBAI this morning, and it's been doing pretty good. We were outlining some levels it could get to. We're at the all-time high, not all-time highs. We're at 52-week highs currently. I don't believe we're at all-time highs in BBAI. Maybe we are. Let me double check that.
Oh well,
no.
This is just for you, Crow. You've always said you haven't seen Buddy in a while. Here he is. Here comes his tail. Come on, keep going. Here comes his tail. Whoop. There we go, Crow. He's back. He's back.
Proof of life. All right.
He's doing good.
But yeah, BBAI, we hit a higher high earlier. I mean, I think this used to be a SPAC, so $10 is where it used to be. Went higher than that. But anyway, we are at new 52-week highs, and we could see this potentially get us, up to 680. Let me see where we're at right now. So we're still holding above VWAP. Just need to get through that 685 to 695 area that I outlined earlier, and we could see some more of $6.
BBAI here. This is I like this setup a lot better than KTTA. Doing a good job bouncing from this VWAP here. And here we go on BBAI. And actually, at this point, I'm not in this. But at this point, if I was in this from a VWAP bounce, I'd be trimming into this move, folks. I'd be trimming into this move. BBAI. This was great. This was timely too.
And you're saying that because you're looking at the wicks that we had earlier this morning. That there's a little bit of resistance in that area.
Pay yourself on the way up before you get there. 13, absolutely.
So yeah, that's not a bad idea whatsoever to start taking some profits after getting up to this area, and then just maybe even leaving a trailing stop on there just to protect yourself in case this thing does push higher, but also so that you don't turn it into a losing position. And wow, we're still getting some. Okay, so yeah, I'm already done with KTTA. That was a nice little bounce there, but I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot of out of it beyond 325. So that was a nice little bounce. It can do whatever it wants, and I won't care.
BBAI is starting to weaken a little bit off that pop again. That's why selling when you have the strength, you don't know how long it's going to last. Selling into it, at least partial, not a big deal. And here we go in Uber. It's cooking. Uber's starting to cook now. We reclaim that VWAP. Let's keep going here. You said 65, Izzy. You got a primo price there. My entry 65.20 on that. So let's see if we can keep rolling here. I'd actually love to see a breakthrough 67. I don't think we're going to get all the way back to a 70 handle.
Oh, good mention, JWell. TNXP, 1 for 100 reverse split. It's moving. So that's I'll take a look at that. Just looking at Tilray, we are still getting green candles today on the 5-minute chart. So that hasn't slowed down yet. Let me take a look here at TNXP. We traded that one before, I believe. Yeah, tonics, absolutely, we did. Okay, so that was a big move. Okay, this is what I love to see. So you see this consolidation that we had all in the pre-market? We had this one candle at 940 just absolutely destroy all that sideways consolidation.
So you're talking about the after hours.
Is that not pre-market as well? It's after hours and pre-market.
Yeah, it's the extended session here. The sideways channels in the after hours. This morning when the pre-market opened, it dropped down and now has reversed.
Oh, I see. Because I have that as 905 when that dropped. This must have been halted for that news, and that's why we didn't get any pre-market price action very much. That must be it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Last night they halted it. Last night, news pending, and then opened it this morning, 8:55. That's exactly what happened. 13.
All right. So let's find some. While you folks are trading those other things, let's see if I can find some levels about where this could go. Okay, so that we did hit a big resistance area on that first impulsive move up to $18 because you look at the after hours on the third and the regular session, that was a support area. So 18, and maybe a little bit past $18 even. That's a resistance area where we were getting support previously. So that's a support turn resistance. We're going to need to see some large volume to push through 18, and we might get that pretty soon. Just keep an eye on TNXP for that volume. That's going to take you through 18.
Jay here mentioning TEM. Jay up 100% year to date. Remember, Pelosi push in this one. Wish I had more. Wish I still had mine. This was actually a fairly decent trade, but I should have not even done it short term. I should have held on to it. Steve saying seeing some weakness in the SPY and Google puts open on both. Okay. Uber still flirting with its VWAP there. SPY trying to hold 600 here.
Disney kind of knifed down to the close to the pre-market lows, and it seems to be recovering pretty well. We're back up and slightly over VWAP, or at least my VWAP right now. This might get going here if we can recapture 115.
Which one?
Disney.
Disney. Yeah, yes.
If TNXP runs to 32, well, you know what? Let me take a look and see where that is or what that looks like.
EYPT went green, ACB looks like it's going to try and set some new highs there. REBN continuing to push away from its VWAP here. Next spot that I have on REBN, 589, still 40 cents higher than where it's at. Volume actually looking really good here too on the 5 on REBN. It's continuing to expand. This is definitely what we want.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. 32. That's where the 65 EMA is on the daily. Now, if we do,
I'm sorry. What ticker are you looking at again?
TNXP.
TNXP.
Now, if we are going to get up to 32, that's going to be in a gap fill area. So if we are going to, see that kind of momentum up to, basically what is almost a 2x from here, we could end up filling that gap. But I don't want to make that speculative call. This is a long way to go. Not to say that it couldn't do it, but it seems like it's a long way to go to get to where that needs to be. And there's going to be considerable consolidation to get through as well before we even get into the 30s. And it's going to be in the 20s. So you might be right, but I think we need to see a little bit more momentum, a little bit more movement up the upside. And maybe it's one of those things that doesn't happen until later in the day. So we might not see that this morning. Worth watching, though.
Mattel still going here.
Yeah, I saw that Mattel was on the move. I would assume this is Q4. So
yep,
sure, Christmas was great.
Jeffries upgraded the stock too from hold to buy on the back of that report.
Everybody with buy now, pay later, buying Christmas gifts.
Uber getting ready to maybe take out 66 here on Uber. See if that keeps rolling.
RABN still making its way up, approaching the pre-market high of 589. Looks like Disney is finding a little bit of resistance near that 515 area that I mentioned. As a matter of fact, it looks like we reversed almost exactly off of 515. 7 cents away from it as far as that last candle goes.
Okay.
Tilray, another green candle. This thing has not slowed down. And
CGC, same deal. ACB, same deal. These continuing to run to the highs here. These are probably the best traders of some of these smaller names here today.
Yep. And there could be, like I said, with ACB, there might be another 50 cents left on this before we really see that resistance around 6. What a
Cron also moving with the pot theme here too. CRON, Kronos Group. Actually, I think YCBD also moving with this too, although that's a penny stock.
Oh, Cron.
That's a blast from the past, Cron.
Yeah, that's the fourth Disney sequel or the third Disney sequel they'll come out with. Tron. It'll be Cron.
Meta, huge move here from Meta as we go through 700, 715 prints your high on Meta.
Yeah, software's doing it. All right, so still getting some support on KTTA around this $3 area. So the longer we hold that, the better of a chance it has at turning around. But I'm not making that call yet. I need to see this hold up some more. Otherwise, we're losing the 65 EMA.
Around here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, BBAI looks. I'm not sure what I'm seeing here. I think it might be rolling over, but I don't want to make that call quite yet because it could still push up. Getting support from the VF right now, but the volume is really starting to disappear.
EYPT here. So actually seeing a Cantor quick take here that the data was actually good here on EYPT, and the reaction is overdone in our view, end quote. EYPT bouncing back and actually going green here. I wonder if there's more to this.
Hope I didn't buy my coffee stock. What, S-Bucks? No, actually had a rule trigger, and I sold Xbox. Was it earlier? I think it was last week. I sold it. It was like on Friday or Thursday. It was just something I was discussing with my advisor, and we were like, this thing is kind of run pretty quickly in a short period of time. It might not, gel with our time horizon on this. So I just took the 45% gain and said thanks. But it's not part of my long-term plan, because when I buy things like this, I want to hold them for at least a year, and that was a short-term gain. So not it's just a rule that triggered, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it to protect myself. But I would have been much happier with longer term.
Careful here. Entire market is rolling over. NASDAQ has started to bounce, but the SPY trading down here. The Dow is really plunging. That was actually one of the stronger indices earlier. Dow's almost at the pre-market lows now, down 0.3%. So definitely a big market pull here.
Do we have anything?
It is affecting other things too.
And do we have anything that we can pin on that?
Let me see here. I know we did have let me see the econ stuff. So here's what we had. So on 8:30, it looks like global, we just got the, no, this was 10 minutes ago. That's not even fresh. Economic events for today, 8:30, balance of trade, import, exports. 9 a.m. we had Fed barking. 9:45 was the global services PMI. That was the print that just came out here. At 10, so in 1 minute, we have the ISM services PMI. 10:30, we have crude. 1, we have Goolsby speaking, and 3, we have Bowman speaking. So that's what you're looking at here today.
Take care, hustle and bustle. Sell those homes, man.
Yep. Take care.
Oh, and you were talking about REBN. I see C-Spot. I've traded this one twice already today. But it moves really slow. I want something with more volume in it, so I'm not in it right now. But it's still moving up. I just want something with a little bit more movement. Kind of like the BBAI. This one actually getting some movement again. Looking to take out that 585 area so we can get into the 6 handle.
Market trying to bounce here, maybe on that ISM print.
Maybe, Tom V. Maybe.
That'd be sick, actually. BBAI continuing to move. I watched this 580 spot. This clearly seems to be a spot. See if that can get rolling here. CPIX, I know that got halted earlier here. This is open now. That looks like that popped higher here. CPIX, Cumberland Pharmaceuticals. What was going on here? Just news from yesterday.
Let's see here.
Looks like continuation here today. Nice job leaving that trailer on there, Steve. Good stuff.
So it's an R-vol trade is what's happening with CPIX. That's what it looks like. Absolutely.
Uber rolling over here below the cost basis now. I'll let you know if I get stopped out of that. Stop there, 64.75. We were approaching it. Oh, yikes. Not a good day, folks. Not a good day at all. It's not so far. By the way, if FMC rolls over one more time towards 34, I'm not even going to wait. I'm just going to cut that. That thing is a complete disaster this morning. CPIX, continuing to push to the highs.
BBAI trying to get into 6.
BBAI, I'll tell you what, BBAI and CPIX, those are some of the best plays here today. Uber rolling over some more here. RNAS trading higher here. The volume looking real good here. This is open. This just opened out of a halt. Do we have news on RNAS today? No, this was from yesterday, after hours, though. Announces the adjournment of a special meeting and information for adjourned special meeting. Okay. Nice PR title there.
That is a really funny title.
It's just dumb.
Just so everybody knows, this adjourned meeting is adjourned. I guess there's a little bit of a short interest. Maybe not.
RNAS, big move, though.
BCTX from yesterday is not having too bad of a day. Slow moving, but not bad.
Steve asking about stops here. It depends. How far down do you set your stops? I typically put it between 10 and 20% on the downside. That's generally the same area that I'm in for swing trades. Might give it a little bit more room, especially if I have a pretty good thesis on it. On day trades, though, a lot of that has to do with the level that it's at. And as far as Uber goes here, I mean, it literally jumps off the page. Right? So you take a look here on Uber. Here you go. These lows here. No bueno. We break these. No bueno. No bueno. If today's not my day, then it's not my day.
We all have our
yeah, it's just really tough. Market continuing to pull here. EA pulled off the highs, so that trade that was actually looking pretty good, looking pretty rough. My worst position today is obviously FMC. Really everything pulling back here. Everything pulling back here. So that's just how it goes sometimes. You got to deal with some of those.
50-day SMA on SPY is 597 and 91 cents. Wouldn't surprise me if we hit that today. Or the 20-day. We could hit both.
Here you go. Thank you, producer. Earnings after the close here. ARM, Ford, Qualcomm, MicroStrategy. That's going to be a big one. SYM, AMSC, O'Reilly, VKTX. That's also another one I'm interested in. So big slate of earnings here today.
Okay, let me just make sure I have that on my screen because I want to see which one of these that was just mentioned has been running up into their earnings. Looks like ARM is potentially one of them.
Yeah, ARM. This is one that we talked about yesterday too.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could argue Ford has over the just this week, but we've only gotten back to where it was consolidating last week, so don't necessarily know if we could consider that a run up into earnings. What about QCOM? I think that they would have a nice run up into earnings. Not really. They've been sideways since toward the end of last month.
ARM trading action here is pretty interesting. This is so far holding the view. This actually looks like it's trying to set some new intraday highs here on ARM.
Yeah, it looks like Qualcomm, the earnings are going to determine whether or not we move over the 200-day SMA or get rejected by it. MSTR, I bet that one hasn't really run into earnings, but
it's actually traded pretty sideways. I still think with MSTR that 383.30 level, I mean, this is going to need to beat, and we'll see if we'll trade back up there. But
so
I still think that level's in play.
How about this? If the report causes a sell-off in MSTR, let's say it goes to like 250 or maybe even the 200-day SMA, who's buying that? Who's buying that dip? I'm sure there's a lot of people that will, but I'm curious to know. Take care, Chris C.
Take care of yourself, Christoph. I would try it for a trade at the 200-day. Honestly, I would try that. I would try that.
I mean, if it gets down there quick enough, that'd be a good bounce.
Izzy says, not me. Not taking MSTR. Not at the 200. Bitcoin at the lows, 98K. That's continuing to trade down here.
Thanks for the reporting tomorrow before the open. Curious about Roblox, see how they ended up doing over the holiday season. I'd be curious also to see how they guide. That company probably still isn't making money, is it? Wow, this thing. Yeah, this thing has had a massive run into earnings. I don't know if I'd want to own this one into earnings. Look at this RSI 83. Maybe not for me. Maybe not for me. Not for me. Not a company that's losing $239 million a quarter. Not for me.
I'm gonna go back here. Sarah's handling a couple of things here on the side. Yeah, Uber sits holding in there. We'll see. It really needs to get moving, though. That's kind of been a disappointment. BBAI, let's see if this can take out that 581, 580 area. I know we popped higher. 588, the high print there? BBAI. I want to see that volume kick back up.
Yeah, Robert, Piton, that isn't a little bit interesting, though. There is a risk of a slight gap fill down to $7 even. Um, it hasn't been faring very well going into their earnings print, so this could be a potential bouncer. And even if it does sell off and fill the gap, that might be a gap worth dip worth buying, just for a trade, not for a long hold. But this is interesting, and it'll be pretty extended away from its 20 if it does that. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on Piton for the earnings print.
Lion, good luck if you buy that there. I'm still in it, but this is without a doubt one of the worst trades of 2024 for me, without a doubt. So good luck if you have it there. Did not treat me well at all.
CYCN. This is an older name that we traded before. Just had a big move.
CYCN, didn't 3D bring this up the other day? Yeah, I feel like on Monday here we were talking about this one. Huge volume on Monday.
Yeah, and the volume's not great today, except for this one candle that we just had. So that's why it kind of showed up for me. I guess there's really nothing here because it's not moving very well and it's kind of spready, but I guess it is worth mentioning since it just had this move. Okay, so Tilray, this thing looks like it's getting ready to move up again, trying to take out this wall of sellers here around 115. And BBAI still hasn't broken down, even though it's having a hard time getting through that top that I mentioned, that 585 to 595 area. Doesn't look quite done yet. Now, if it does push through and again print 6, there's a good possibility it might come right back down under 6, just immediately.
We'll see here on BBAI.
ASST trying to recapture VWAP here. This could get going, maybe even push into $1 if there's enough volume.
Which one? Sorry,
that was ASST.
ASST.
I'm sorry if I'm going too fast.
I'm getting my ass kicked here today. To be quite honest with you, I'm really struggling here today. So I'm sorry I'm slow here. Looks like I'm gonna get stopped out on the Uber trade as well. Morning 3D. That was you on CYCN the other day, right? I did get that right here.
CYCN offering?
Did that just happen right now?
That's what I'm wondering. Unless this was something that happened yesterday. Let's take a look at the news.
Yeah, this was yesterday after hours.
Okay, so that just provided a nice opportunity then. It looks like that news kind of was anticipated because it was sideways for a time and then it just started dropping toward the end of the day.
Arnaz still at the highs here, ripping on volume there.
Oh man, I think it's Arnazdi.
Well done. Well done. All right, another push to the lows here. We're going to stop out on Uber there. It's a very small loss. But man, oh man, not my day, 13. Not my day. Glad you were able to get some green on the screen. I'm going to need to turn it around here.
And I'll be honest with you, this is not substantial green by any stretch of the imagination. These have been very small trades and very quick.
I'm 0 for 1 on day trades, and I am smoked. My holdings.
Arnaz, I'm seeing a potential resistance area in the 1180s. So it looks like we may have just actually traded up into that area. Yeah, so 50 cents away from that area. Got to 1130 just now before we pulled, but 1180 could be a big resistance area. And I'm drawing on the price action from January 29th and 28th. Okay, what else do we have going on? Yeah. Looks like TNXP right down to the 65 EMA and that consolidation that we pointed out earlier that was in the after hours.
BBAI did take out that 580 area going higher here on BBAI.
Holy cow. There it is, 595. That's the high end of the area I was looking at. Still not in the 6 handle, but it's looking like it could still be a possibility.
SMCI back maybe towards those pre-market highs. It's actually been pretty decent today.
You think trading and driving is fun? Try opening a position before your flight takes off.
Oh no. No, Wes, that you. Oh, so he's right on that. He's right on that. Done that before. Opened up a trade in the pre-market in O'Hare Airport while I was on my way to Detroit. Had no way of getting online on the plane. It, for whatever reason, the plane like didn't have Wi-Fi that day. And when I got off the plane, obviously the first thing I'm doing is I'm checking my thing, and I'm like, oh my god, it's getting smoked. It's a really crappy feeling. All the music in the world doesn't help on that flight, Wes.
Well, Wes, I guess set your limit orders, your stops, or whatever you need to do, and then get on your plane and make a wish. I hope everything works out for you.
Yeah, Lion, it happens, right? It happens. I'm not gonna get too down, but it's just not been a good day. Not been a good day early. We'll see if that changes. And the other thing here is that, so you're talking about mood there. I'm just talking about actual performance here, but you actually bring up a really good point. If your mood is poor because of something else that's happening market-wise, you can actually really compound your problems by letting those emotions drive some of your trading. So if you step away in a situation like that, I totally get it. I am not aggressive at all on any of these trades here today. If I make no more trades the rest of the day, that'll probably be okay.
Arnaz still trying to go higher here, 1188. Yeah. Right to that area I was talking about just before we got there. Still looking like it could push higher, but not sure. Need to see if we can get the next couple of candles to hold VWAP.
And then BBAI continuing to push too.
BBA,
so those two still working.
Right into the 6 handle. That's looking pretty good. Still think maybe 680 is on the table as well. That was the second level I mentioned that it could go to. So already past that 585 to 595 area. Looking good on that. Now we just need to hold above 6 in order to see that 680. So that one was looking good. I traded BBAI a couple of times, but I was not in it for this move through 6, unfortunately. That would have been good.
ACB actually trying to firm up. This actually might go higher too. I would watch for another expanding volume pocket there on ACB. Really is going to need that volume if it's going to make another move towards the highs.
It's going to need to take out some of these. It's going to have to take out 530 pretty soon here, or else we'll have a pretty bearish looking pattern. That's what I would want to see out of ACB. I want to see 530 get taken out, just because there's a huge seller right there as well that I can see at 530. So you lose, you take him out. This goes higher. Maybe we see 553 again. That would be ideal.
Meta coming back in a little bit. None of these calls really jazzed me up here. NVIDIA with a nice move. Actually, there has been some repeat call buying here on NVIDIA, although none of them look particularly unusual, at least not at first glance. Definitely some repeat call activity here on NVIDIA. Looks like this did do a pretty good job of holding that 117 level.
Looks like the volume is really starting to disappear in Tilray because this thing is starting to look like it's a barcode.
RABN gave up the VWAP, came in lower here. BBAI new highs.
Yeah. BBAI seems to be one of the better ones today. That and Arnaz. I guess ASST is also still having a pretty good day, even though it's looking a little weaker right now. I mean, you guys are just are doing really good with some of these names that you guys are mentioning here. Just really good job, folks. BlackBerry, this thing is looking like it could hit 5. What a move we're getting in BlackBerry today.
Chipotle, you might have some new highs here on Chipotle. Here's your BlackBerry chart. Stock's up 22 cents.
Yeah. All right, ACB. I think we are about to get this next push or attempt to push through 530. We just moved up there briefly, a little bit more expanding volume, and we could see that level fall. And if we don't, then I think this thing's going to go back to VWAP, maybe even beneath it. BBAI to 7. Will, the next level I have for that is going to be, I think it was like 680. Yeah, 680 is the next upside target I have for that. Could get to 7. I'm going to wait and see if we get 680 first before I say anything further about that.
Okay.
And
I don't see anything great on here.
Yeah, not looking too enticing at the moment. Well, TNXP, after it hit 18 even, this thing has just not been able to recover. Losing that consolidation, or actually we're right at that consolidation right now. So if we do not turn around here, then we're probably headed to 13.
What are the quantum names doing? QUBT lower.
Okay, I think ACB might do it.
QBTS actually looking pretty decent here. You want me to go back to ACB?
I think it's trying to make that push up through 530. We got some bids that came in at 524 to help lift it. We'll see who wins here. This is the battle of the Bears and the Bulls now. And maybe KTTA still hasn't broken down yet, but hasn't been able to quite recover yet. It's just holding 3. It's still holding 3. So there's still a chance, but I'm not guaranteeing anything here with KTTA. Any word on Microsoft? Is it a buy? Asks Jaquami. Look here. I'm a longtime holder of Microsoft. I think they have earnings, or do they have earnings yet? Or I think they already had earnings, didn't they?
Earnings here confirmed. No, they did. It was January 29th.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at the charts.
It's all about this trend, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. This thing looks like it might pull back to under 400. I think that this, still has the potential to get up to 500 by the second half of this year. But I don't know if the selling is finished yet. I could see a situation where this, can go down to 405 or 400 even, or even 485 before we turn around here. So it depends on what your time horizon is. I mean, if you're going to be a long-term holder, here wouldn't be too bad. But if you're going to trade this over the short term, maybe there's a better opportunity waiting for it to come in some more and giving us more of a bottom.
I'd kind of like this around the 500.
Yeah.
If we get it.
Yes, Dr. Redman is absolutely correct. We're not financial advisors. We're just trying to help everybody understand and make sense of this wild, wacky casino we call the market.
And some days are better than others, as you can tell. BBAI continuing new highs here now. BBAI, this was a really good mention from the group earlier.
Certainly was.
And that question about this going to 7 earlier, I mean, it sure looks like it's got the strength to do that here, at least early on.
Just had that breakout with ACB. Here we go. That was a nice move over 530. And we could end up
next on that.
Yeah, and we can end up going there next. That's where the that's where we were resisted earlier. Now that we're having another visit, this could be either if it doesn't happen here, then there might be one more attempt to push through it after this. But if it does happen here, then let's see, where do we go? Let me give you some levels on ACB. I think I may have said 620 on this one earlier. Let me double check. Yeah, 620 looks pretty good. So that would be an upside target for ACB. Should we continue with this momentum?
Okay.
620. Yep.
SPY is bouncing back here too. SPY actually doesn't look terrible anymore. The rest of the market is bouncing back as well. Dow's has had the strongest bounce so far. NASDAQ actually looks the weakest here. But SPY, you can see it just reclaimed the VWAP and 600 at the same time there.
Yeah, so BBAI hitting 632. This thing has had some really nice moves, breaking over that 6 handle. Kind of got a neutral candle at the moment that could turn red here. Now, if we are going to get some weakness in BBAI, we want to see this this area that we just broke through. We want to see that hold. So that's going to be like 595 to 6. We want to see that hold, the price hold up there. And if it does, then I think we see our 680 print.
I was taking a look at Hood here real quick. Dr. Manred said, I like Hood on a pullback someday. I think this thing needs a pretty substantial pullback, doesn't it? This had a nice little breakout here. Pullback to 42 and some change might be pretty good.
RNAS with a nasty pull after putting in a couple of upper shadows here, losing VWAP in the process. So we are halted now.
And which one? RNAS?
That was RNAS, yep.
Yep.
ASST getting a big spike
This is
here.
the downside.
This is trying to push through 92 cents on its way to $1. Nice move through VWAP as well, same candle. Our REBN, after pulling and losing VWAP and trying to recapture it, we have just bounced off the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, trying to come back up to VWAP now. Tilray, new highs, 515. I'm sorry, 115. KTTA still holding 3, but not getting enough volume to push back up to VWAP yet.
Sorry, I'm looking around too, trying to follow what's going on X. Probably not going to make any more trades here today. I don't need to make any more of a mess than I've already made.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm just frustrated.
I've had plenty of days like that.
Yeah, it just sucks. It's part of it though. That's part of the game that we choose here.
Let's see. Oh gosh, AAPG. This one we were looking at earlier. That
was that recent IPO, right? That AAPG.
Yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about.
China pharmaceutical.
Yeah. So it looks like it's trying to turn around here, but I just wouldn't bother with this one. That's just my opinion on it. BBAI beginning to feed the bears. Yeah, a little bit. We just had nice 3 different 5-minute candles push us up through 6 and get as high as 632. So we should expect a little bit of selling, a little bit of pullback, but we do want to see that 6 handle hold. So that's what we're waiting for now with BBAI, just to see if we get that hold at 6, and if we do for 10-15 minutes at the most, could turn up and get up to 680 like we're looking for. Our NASDAQ open now, rebounding, coming back up to VWAP, but not sure if we're going to get a breakthrough it or not. Yeah, lots of things just kind of going sideways. I see that the IWM is getting mentioned a lot. Let me take a look at that right now and see where we're at.
I can bring that up on the bigger chart as well.
This thing bouncing off a trend line that I started drawing back from 2020 to 2022. It's kind of a bottom trending line in the IWM.
Got the same line on the chart, actually. Oh, no, yours probably extends back to right here, right? October?
No, 2020 to 2022 is where I started it. It's from the bottoming trend from the pandemic and the years and the Russia-Ukraine war. So that bottoming action. So you'll see it in 2020 and 2022.
So I'm actually going to readjust this. Here's 2020.
Yeah. And then the lowest point of 2022. Yeah.
That's this one.
Yeah. Now look at where we bounced off just recently.
Yeah.
There
you go. Exactly there you go. Yeah. Okay. We actually talked about this trend line before. I'm glad that we added this. I prefer those longer term ones, to be honest.
And now we're
Let me
back up.
extend this a little bit too.
And now we're back up to the 50-day SMA, where if you look at what's happened in January, that was just a site of constant rejection.
Yep.
So here's what
this
we want.
would be a level to move over, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Now that you mentioned that.
Yep. That's what we're going to be wanting to see here in IWM. We want to see a nice, robust move and close over the 50-day SMA.
Oh, God, that would be so great for some of the small caps too.
Mm-hmm. ASST, I was mentioning earlier, this was trying to get through the highs that we made in the intra-session. Now we're higher with a print of almost 96 cents. Not quite $1 yet, but that was a nice move. Hopefully some of y'all who were looking at that earlier traded that and got a nice little capture of some profit.
Chris mentioning Charlie was squawking snap calls. That was actually one of the stocks I was looking for. I don't even really see anything in here. Charlie's got his own eye for some of those unusual options, by the way. So not surprised me. You know what? There were some here today. Was it the February 5th calls, the ones that expired today? 0 DTE calls? Anyway, Snap reported last night and got smoked. Initially traded up, gave everything back, and then decided it was going to go lower here today. Downgrade from Wells Fargo. There we go. Lowered price targets here. I'm surprised people are buying calls into this. That's got to be a trade only.
Well, not even. I mean, Bitcoin is kind of recovering after hitting a low of about 97,750. Coming back up into an area where we were getting some consolidation and rejection. So we'll see if we can recapture 101 today. In which case, we should see MSTR and CLSK and Riot and all those crypto mining names start to turn up and do better.
Costco here going higher, and so it's only up by 0.75% here. 1,030 prints here on Costco.
Getting a mention on SLXN from the group. Oh yeah, that is looking nice. Just had a nice breakout.
Ooh, we have a halt possibility here, don't we?
It doesn't appear. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look like we have enough volume or volatility for to trigger one. I don't know. I didn't see this this previous 5-minute candle, so I don't know what that looked like. But if it was like a steady move up and not just a wild one, then we probably won't see a halt.
Yeah, I just thought maybe when some of that volume popped, maybe we'd halt up here.
All right, waiting for BBAI. This might be finding that bottom we were talking, or that support we were talking about before. It's going to take us to 680. So we'll wait and see if we end up getting that. Costco is halted?
No, it's not. That's a troll comment. Come on, guys. Come on, Mixmaster Mike. You're better than that. ETNB. Not really. Tilray, that's still at those highs. I tell you what, the Tilray, that's pretty disappointing given some of those other pot names there.
It's still trying to push up.
C-Spot. Costco doesn't give a damn about the market. Kirkland dad jeans for the win. Oh, that's funny. You know what's funny about that, C-Spot, is that every time I go there, there's somebody interested in the Kirkland dad jeans that you're talking about. Somebody is there. There's always people around that. They're always getting picked through, too.
Well, seeing some polls happen.
ACB, that's going to keep rolling here. We're not actually seeing the elevated volume that we had hoped to see. It's still rolling towards the highs there.
When is RFK supposed to be confirmed?
Didn't we get news that he was going to be confirmed? They're all going to get confirmed. Are you looking for the actual
time or when that happens? It could be either a sell the news event or it could be, it could trigger.
Yeah, that I don't know offhand. Don't know offhand. And I actually haven't seen any of that stuff across the Twitter wire yet this morning. But albeit I really have not been looking for that.
There is a lot of stuff just moving sideways right now. With a lot of things we've been trading, just kind of sideways. I have no positions right now.
Okay.
Kirkland Jeans did not know about that. It's probably one of the best kept secrets, and it's not really a secret at all that Costco is like a very popular place for clothing. I think they have a lot of great selections,
dude. It's like part of me feels embarrassed to say it, but honestly, like I get probably a majority of my clothes from Costco. Like every time, and here's the secret: you want a pro Costco tip? Check every time you go because it's constantly changing, and I like to monitor things for when it starts to go on sale. And then pick it up then. And then if you're buying one or two pieces of clothes regularly, you eliminate that big trip where you go and buy a bunch at once. But I'm always hawking the Costco clothes and see what we can get there.
Yeah, Lon, you're right about that. It doesn't seem like there are too many good setups, although
I don't really see any.
ACB is the only one that really does have an interesting looking setup, but I need to see the volume to match it. Otherwise, we're not going to break through that 553 high that we made earlier.
%60 of my clothing is from Costco. Let's go. Yeah, I can't help it.
SLXN still creeping higher, though I'm not sure. I'd be really raising my stops in this, or maybe even having a trailing stop. Just kind of cycling through them, seeing what's looking good. Maybe Reborn Coffee is getting ready to come up to the VWAP finally, but volume's not looking great. BBAI still hasn't really made that push up through the 632, so we can get to 680 yet. ACB still hasn't taken out the 553 high. So just waiting on a bunch of stuff right now.
I didn't know Kirkland had a standalone store. Do they? That is not what I was saying. I just meant the Kirkland brand in the Costco store.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, the Kirkland brand. Yeah, I don't know if they have a separate Kirkland store. That'd be news to me as well.
Jane saying 90% of my clothes are from thrift stores. One of my friends works at like a thrift type store there. You can actually get some really good finds there. That's like a I want to call it like a undiscovered or unpolished gem. Sometimes you can really find some crazy stuff in there, like discounted prices. Cashmere would be a real good thing to look for there. Hims, whoever mentioned this earlier, this actually back down to VWAP. We were just talking about lack of setups here. This might be a potential bounce play. HIMS.
Oh, there's the move down in SLXN that I was being concerned about. And
almost at its VWAP here on SLXN, that 151 area.
Oh, that's an interesting piece of news, Mixmaster Mike. Thank you. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Starbucks has been the brand behind the Kirkland label for a while.
That's not something I knew about. All right, looks like BBAI, it could get going here. ACB may also have a move coming. Just need to see more volume. Volume is not looking good here in a lot of these folks, but they just seem to find their way in at the last second, and then they make the move, and then that's done. Levi's versus Wranglers, a real 70s culture war. I was not around for that.
Mom smoked so much she had a full wardrobe of Newport clothing. Oh, yikes, Gary. Never heard that one before. Izzy asking if today is slow or what? It is definitely slow for me, and it was just I took my lumps today, Izzy. So I'm trying not to compound my problem by allowing my emotions to try and get me into riskier trades than I'd like to take.
And that's something that we pointed out with the number of movers that we were seeing today. It just, we had no 100% runners, and there were very slim pickings as to some of the movers that we had that were even over 50%. Some of them were still penny stocks, while these other more real companies were far and few between as far as being runners. So hasn't been a very risk on kind of day. So
seeing another tweet here, DeepSeek chatbot is apparently sending chat contents directly to China Mobile, which raises security concerns. Chinese company is barred from operating in the US. So shout out to you, 13, because one of the things that you were talking about when the whole DeepSeek thing first came out is what kind of ruse that might be to gather up all of this free data. Hey, don't pay attention over here, pay attention here. Looks like we're starting to get some of that coming out here.
And that argument, but American companies do it. Yeah, well, the long arm of the American law can reach those companies that have data in the US.
And they have. ACB here, possible 550 breakout. See if we test that area here.
Let's go.
That's another thing here. Robert is saying, well, yeah, the last 2 days have been nuts. We needed to breathe it. That's something else to always take into account, right? We're just kind of relative. Where's the market at? What's the market doing? What has it been doing?
I am going to raise my stop in ACB now.
Okay. ACB, let's see, maybe. I really would like the volume to be a little bit higher here. We'll see if we get it.
As would I. And it's one of the only ones that has even a halfway decent setup. Just got stopped out, but it's it was looking pretty good. Now it might actually run now that I've been kicked out of this trade. Yeah, so ACB, that was setting up to try and take out that 553. We haven't broken down, so it still may be able to do that, or it might need some more time. But that's kind of what I was trading on there just a moment ago, was trying to trade for that breakout, and I got stopped out with a tiny gain. BBAI, on the other hand, still looks like that's trying to get going here as well, and wants to take out that 632. We were looking for 680 in that one still, but expectations must be tempered since we're not getting the follow through in some of these setups. But I still bet that ACB and BBAI go now. I bet that they do.
More TEM calls getting bought, by the way. Bought into this pullback, which is interesting. Those expire in April. I believe that's the monthly April contract. More HIMS calls getting bought as well. These are for next week, though. Again, getting bought until the pullback.
All right. ACB, here we are. Right at the door of 550.
So, sorry, whenever you're done with ACB.
I'm done.
Okay, so Google, one of the things that we were talking about here on Google, we actually talked about this in happy hour yesterday. We broke it down here today post earnings. We talked about what the next spot for Google would be. We were looking at that at about a 192 area. So here we came back down to the 190. So we are in fact testing the 50-day moving average here, which is great. We did actually test this here. I guess if we can close above this here today, maybe you have a potential bounce play. I'd love to know if anyone is looking into Google. I know they are trading down here 8% post earnings, but is anyone looking to buy the Google dip here if we hold the 50-day? That would be for more than a day trade, just to be clear.
I'd prefer to add it lower.
Yeah, you want this to fall a little bit lower there. That's what we talked about yesterday. I'm just wondering if there's anyone out there that's interested in the 50-day bounce here.
Well, ACB did the thing that broke through 550. That's a nice move.
Mind that spot there on Google. Sorry, let me go back to ACB here.
No worries. And then just waiting for to see if BBAI is going to do the same thing. I was saying I bet it does, but because I'm not in it now, but hasn't materialized yet. Looking for that 632 level to fall, and looking for 680. That was a good move in the ACB, and Tilray also moving up further as well. Cannabis name's still strong, folks.
Really impressive market bounce here too. Now that we're kind of looking at it, let me throw this up on the chart. We talked about the SPY really kind of pulling, and it was around some of those numbers, but we've now just completely erased that move down. Right, this bounce traded us right back to balance here, and it's like this on more than just the SPY. Nasdaq looks the same. Nasdaq actually went higher. Dow looks the same. So market, again, being resilient here after that initial move down.
What film are you referring to, C-Spot? Let me see here. You're talking about, Snowpiercer?
Snowpiercer?
I have not seen that one yet. That's the one about the train, right?
Yeah, and they also have a series, if I'm not mistaken, on TV as well. I haven't seen it either.
Well,
KTTA really just kind of holding this sideways area here on KTTA.
Which, is if
OKLO, is that moving?
If you want this to go higher, which it's an encouraging sign that it's holding up here, but you really want to see this. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, do we have news here? No. So the Senate was just confirming some of these pro-nuke people, but that was not today. OKLO to the highs here on volume. OKLO. And you can see here, look at this move. My God, this has been the outperformer of these nuke names.
Yeah, it has.
Just look at this move.
Pat asking ACB, anyone? Not for the current move, but I did get a little bit of it. I've been trading this on and off today. It's been pretty good. But no, after that 567 move, I don't have a position in it. Still looking for BBAI to make that move. I'm not in that either, but I still want to see the break over 632 and the move up to 680. It's just that I'm a little concerned about this MACD here. And if we don't get the volume in order to push through that level I just mentioned, it would roll over. %300 on Oak calls. Well done, HG.
Yeah, that's insane. Nice job. Nice job, HG. What was your, let me ask you, what was your trigger? What was your entry trigger on that? And I guess involved in that would be, when did you open that? Because remember, obviously that got hit. That was on DeepSeek, right? That actually might have got hit on the tariffs too. Let me go back and check real quick here.
There's a new high in BBAI. Let's see if we get 680 now.
Yeah, this OKLO really got hit on. It did get hit on both, but it was the big one there was DeepSeek pulled us all the way back here. And I'll tell you what, that thing was 29 and change, and here we are at 50, almost a double from that DeepSeek article there, or the piece of news that came out there, almost a double.
I'm with you on that, right, Robert. I wasn't a really big fan of that series either.
Hunger Games?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never saw it.
I try to watch movies that I haven't seen if they're popular to see what the fuss is all about. I think. I get the appeal, but it wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it really. Well, BBAI pulled a little bit after hitting a new high of 636. Still concerned about that volume. I want to see that 680, but with this volume, kind of wondering if we probably won't. RABN about just recapturing VWAP. If this continues to get some movement here, we'll see another test of that 546 high that we just put in.
Yeah, nice move through VWAP right there.
Yep. Matthew, yeah,
Go ahead.
I would
was reading the
not,
same comment.
I would not put this on Kramer, or anything that he does or says. Maybe it's some people doing the opposite of what he's saying, because that's what a lot of folks do. he's Kramer's very much a gauge of what not to do with your portfolio. But I think it has more to do with the DoD contract, because we've been, for some time, we've been talking about how BBAI could potentially be the next Palantir. And now that we have this DoD contract, it kind of is lining up with that theme. So I think that's why BBAI is up today. Yeah.
SMR now moving. We just talked about OKLO. Looks like some of these are moving. NNE is also on the scanner. All of these putting in the same move here.
And then that I was also seeing that some of those more speculative names, like the quantum names and the drone names, were also getting some movement.
SMR calls are trading here.
So QBTS hit 6 earlier today, kind of recovering after the day it had yesterday. Let me take a look at the space watch. Let's see how that's doing. So a little bit mixed on the space theme. Mostly a lot of flatness across these across this watch list. The ones down the most are going to be MDA Space, which is MDALF, and Intuitive Machines, which is LUNR.
Lunar.
Mm-hmm. Which has been an awesome stock to trade.
Yeah, it sure has.
Awesome last year. All right, BBAI finally putting in some of that.
Interesting though, Bank of America Securities initiating an underperform and a 16 price target here on Lunar. That's likely why we're down 5%.
Yeah, those analyst ratings are going to harm the price action of the stock. So that just puts it. Oh, interestingly, that puts it at the low of January 13th.
For all of the pain that my positions are seeing here today, I do have one that's working out, and I'm shocked about it. Chicago's Italian Beef King, Portillo's, for whatever reason, is continuing to trade higher here. They've got coverage now. They've got an activist investor in here. I am so lucky that I added in the 8 handle. I was so pissed at this stock and this company that I had stopped adding a lot. But I did add some more here in the 8, and I'm almost at a double from that. So really looking to start selling this pretty soon here. If we take a look at a bigger chart here, I don't think anyone else is in this, but just in case, real quick, TLO. One thing to keep in mind here as we're trading up, we are basically testing this 500-day moving average. So wouldn't be shocked if we have some resistance here, but you can see this stock is really, really moving. Theme hasn't changed here. Italian beef is delicious. Portillo's has never closed a store, but the stock has been complete garbage. Maybe it's turning around here. We'll see. I lowered my cost basis on this to about 16 and change. So would love to be able to get out of this without a loss.
So thinking about it, that's a really smart move. And I'm kind of curious if you're looking to get back into Lunar at some point, either just before the launch or after the launch or whatever. Do you have a plan for Lunar after their launch? I'm just curious. All right, KTTA finally made a move or a decision on which way they're going to go, and that decision is down.
And Lion, you were mentioning FTAI, and I just want to reiterate here, this is, again, highs here, and we'll see if we can break out from 112. Just want to reiterate, I know a lot of us played this, or maybe not a lot of us, but a handful of us played this on the day that we had the short report. And you really picked the right way to do this. The long-term calls were the answer here. I know that the stock moved lower after you took that position, but because you got long-dated calls, you just were able to wait that out. Now the stock's actually moving higher. This position's got to be printing for you at this point. So we'll see on this one. I'll change the way I approach short reports after this one. Definitely went just traded it poorly. Went too short dated on the calls there. Really good stuff though, Lion.
BBAI still moving up to that 680 area.
Wild.
Slowly. just slowly, but we're getting there, folks. Wow, QBTS has really provided some fantastic trading opportunities with this price action this morning. And you could just trade around the VWAP based on what it's been doing. If it goes under VWAP, buy it. If it goes to 6 or up over 5, start selling. Or kind of it's just not 5, but 5 like the open like 590.
Robert just closed my FTAI yesterday for a nice profit. You'll get a register ring on that. Good stuff.
All right. Getting pretty close to the, I just noticed what time it is, and now the fun kind of flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say even on kind of a slower, maybe rough day, we still pass the time really quickly here today. We do have story trading coming up here and then futures fever after that. So be sure to stick around. More trading action for you today here on Benzinga's channel. Arnaz?
Yeah, that just recaptured VWAP and is trying to 1188. Oh man, what a move. What a move. About to hit the new intercession high.
Okay, hello, 51 plus. Oh my goodness.
And BBAI with a little bit of a pull, but we had a similar candle about 10 minutes ago, and then we ended up with a green one following it. So as long as it can hold up here, we should see some more upside.
Nick here. Yeah, this is kind of what I've been. Nick here saying, Ryan, Lord Ryan. You know what? I appreciate that. I'll show you guys again. I have a certificate that gave me that title. Nick's not just goofing around here. But anyway, the short-term calls on the short report are what got me on I think you mean FTAI. Wait until it starts to go back up to buy is my new approach. That's also what got me. And I think one of the things that I might do, Nick, is I might just kind of kick that expiry out, right? Because what we saw in like GLs, we saw a V bounce, right? It bounced same day. So the low print there, it immediately started trading back up. We didn't have to do that. Wait until it starts to go back up, part of what you were saying there. FTAI we did, but again, this all comes down to how with the instrument that you pick. If we had picked longer dated calls, would have still been in the trade with some exposure. And on that initial move down, we would have been given a chance to maybe even add there. So I think nibbling early on calls that are longer dated, where we have some time for this recovery to shape up, the volatility that we have near term also might allow us to actually average into that position a little bit more. That's one of the things that I'm going to try next time. I think I just tried I was too greedy. Frankly, I tried just to capture a short-term bounce. We didn't get it. We ended up getting a little bit longer bounce.
Okay. Really interesting thing here about Arnaz. This great breakout, by the way. Went up to 1230, the same high, or pretty close to the same high as that we had on the 23rd of January. So that could be a near-term resistance area. This area. Around 1230 in Arnaz. And where's BBAI at? There we go. This one's still looking good. Looking like it's going to make another new intercession high here in just a tick. And is it almost there? Come on. It's like right there at 645.
On BBAI?
He's trying to coax it along here, trying to get over that.
I was going to say, it looks like you're trying to get it there.
No position. I just want to see it hit 680.
Captain Cloud, I'm actually waiting out Pan W. I think we might test lower areas there on Pan W. Definitely going to be re-adding that here pretty soon, though. Would love to add that on a support instead of in no man's land.
No, Fairchild, that would be office assistant. That's who's the master of the domain. All right. Well, don't know how much more Arnaz is going to have, but that was a nice move through VWAP to 1240. Reborn Coffee still trying to make its way through VWAP. It's had a couple of attempts over the past 15 minutes to no avail, but it hasn't broken down. So it's there's still a chance it could try and get through that and actually close above VWAP, but maybe not on this volume. Well, I don't see anything I like at the moment. Maybe SLXN. But even then, that's a question mark for me. And now look at that.
Some of these things are really kind of dried up.
And then look at, remember I was mentioning QBTS, you buy under VWAP and you sell around 590. Just had it is provide another trade again. You buy under VWAP, it's moving off of VWAP now, getting to it just got to 590 where you would sell. So maybe it turns around here pretty soon. But that's been the QBTS, that price action where it's just a lot of back and forth with a clear level of where you can buy and sell. Pretty good.
Mike says, Ryan, just add more Costco. Yeah, that's actually not a bad plan there. Those nuke names actually, those have provided some pretty good opportunity today. We'll see if that keeps up. And MicroStrategy here, definitely a little calm before the earnings print here. So maybe the calm before the storm. Okay, we are going to go over to the story trading gents here in a sec. 13, do you have any closing words for the group before I bring on Ben and company?
Folks, let's protect ourselves today on a slow day like this. Let's not force any trades. Let's not get into things that we are going to have, want them to drive up on hopium. Just, if something's not looking good, don't trade it. It's not. It's a good idea just to sit on your hands if the market's not behaving the way you want it. But hopefully tomorrow we'll get some better movement. I'll be back then with no problems with my computer.
No, I was going to say that whatever fix you did, we're good, man. That's now 2 things in a row. So really good job there on the tech support angle.
Take care, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have some more fun then. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. 13, we will see you tomorrow. 13's departure, of course, leaves room. It's time to go to the story trading gents. They go ahead and bring on Ben. Ben, how are you doing this morning?
We are killing it each and every single day. Oh, my God.
I love to hear it.
ASTS. I don't know if you're following that, but we have been all over this ASTS breakout from the lows, like from $18 all the way to $25. It's been a top pick every single day for like the last 4 days. We're just having a lot of fun, man.
Okay.
Options, common shares, everything.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to get out of your way then. Let me bring on Rhett and let me bring on the Godfather here. You gents, take it away. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Awesome. Oh, Rhett, Godfather, good to see you guys. Like, we gotta start with ASTS here. This has been incredible. Going back to the daily chart here, 1750 was the low, and the next day, this was January 30th. We put a buy on this thing with strong conviction. I'll summarize the story very quickly. This is a competitor to Starlink. On this day, when it hit 1750, Starlink and Apple came out with some news that Apple was modifying their phones to accommodate Starlink service, which was apparently like a surprise announcement because Apple is working with Globalstar. But then the next day, ASTS came out with a demo with Vodafone showing a far superior service. We'll talk about BBI in a second, thinking about it, yes. We did capture some of that. But in any case, Starlink only works text messages. You need phone modifications for it to work. ASTS, they work with, they have deals with Verizon, AT&T, Vodafone. The phones do not need to be modified, and it's broadband high-speed internet. They did a demo showing this work with like a video call. So, Starlink is nowhere near that. So that was our signal to go in, buy heavy. I've had a big position since then, and we've been trading it as a top pick every single day. Then the next day, there was further news that they got the testing license for Verizon. Now, they got the testing license for AT&T back on January 21st, but it was kind of overlooked January 22nd because it announced the same day they did an offering. So the sentiment on this stock has been really bad since the Trump election, slowly sliding down because people are thinking, Elon Musk, Starlink's going to do better. But the technology is far, far superior to ASTS. We got stacked catalyst after catalyst after catalyst, turning the sentiment on its head, showing that the technology is much more superior than Starlink. And this thing, technical breakout, look at the weekly chart, look at the daily over the 20 and the 50, look at the weekly over the 20-week moving average, low RSI on the weekly. So this thing, this morning, I predicted a breakout to go to the 25 to 26 level. It's highly shorted. So you're seeing a short squeeze developing in action right now, combined with maybe a gamma squeeze. So we've been all over this. And quickly, I'll come to you, Rhett and Godfather, about that in a second. But quickly, I just want to talk about BBI real quick. Someone asked me if we're in it. I traded this a bit. I gave a 670s target, but I sold early. I sold way early, and my size was small. I don't know why I sold before my 670s target, but I remember why. Because it dipped a little bit. I wanted to protect my gains, and I wanted to focus on ASTS. That's what happened. So in any case, let's throw it back. Rhett, Godfather, I know... let's start with Rhett, because I know you've been trading ASTS with our community very heavily. Tell us about your ASTS adventures and what you think of it now. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Well, that was weird. Yeah, I mean, it's played out perfect the past couple of days. I think we've traded this thing for 3 or 4 days now consecutive, and it's delivered over 50% returns almost every single day. Today was a little less. It was only 48% for me, but I mean, still, those gains add up, and it's worked out beautiful. I sold a little too early, so some members in our community should be doing a little better than I did today, but you've been crushing it with the analysis.
Yeah, awesome. I'm in 23 and 25 calls for next week right now, along with the commons. I actually added some 25 calls this week too. All right, Godfather, what are your thoughts on ASTS?
Yeah, I really want to see this break over 25. We've been in this chop zone for 6 months. There's been a few spikes into the high 20s, but they've been sold quickly. I mean, you nailed it. It's about a sentiment shift. There really isn't anything that's changed. There's, I guess, some new eyeballs, and people are starting.
Oh, the Vodafone demo, wasn't that new?
Yeah. Yeah, but their abilities in terms of providing broadband for people that are familiar with the story, that hasn't changed. But the fact that it's been shown, it's now front and center again. And I think the key is really what you were talking about. People were concerned that with Trump in power and the closeness of Elon Trump, that they might in some way obstruct the approvals that they would get from the FCC, which is a government-controlled agency. And, that's clearly not been the case. So I think that that's been a big driver of the sentiment. And you are right to key in on the sentiment, because from the technology side, nothing's really changed. From the deployment side, nothing's really changed. They need to get a lot more of these satellites up in terms of broadening the coverage. But there's been some cumulative positive developments here. I think technically you really need to see this through 25 again for the rest of the non-believers and the non-close followers to join in on this thing. And when that happens,
you're right about that. I actually saw
the
comments.
short position come into play, right? So I don't think we've really seen that. The lift off of 18s, that was a spectacular entry. I don't know, how you called that there, because I wasn't a believer and I didn't get involved until the high 22s, low 23s. So, kudos to you on picking that up early.
Yeah, and you're right about the 25. That it's because I saw some comments in my feed, more and more people talking about ASTS, like more so technical traders, are like, yeah, this is getting interesting. I'm starting to look at it again. I just want to see it push a little further above such and such level before I get involved. So it's getting close to maybe a much even larger breakout. Cool. All right. So that's ASTS. I just
Quick
go back to
comment on
BBI.
AI from a fundamental standpoint.
Yeah. I just want to also mention that one of the reasons I thought that the bids on the show this morning were like the bids are going to be bought today, and I'm like, I don't care about the fundamentals of this deal or anything. It's all about sentiment, specifically because Palantir just went over 100, and that's AI defense, let's call it. All right, that's a big part of what they do. And everyone's looking for the next Palantir. And this is AI defense. So in a way, I was thinking, maybe some people will view this as like a baby Palantir. So you're going to have a bid under this stock all day. That was my thoughts. But you gave this to our community early, Godfather. A couple weeks ago, you put this on our radar when the thing was like under $4.
Yeah. It was exactly $4, actually. 380 to $4. So, I keyed in on the fact that Kevin McClellan, Cleenan, I guess his name was the former Department of Homeland Security chief for Trump's previous administration. And they did this acquisition, which is, really key in terms of border security, facial recognition, and so on. And they've had this sort of cadence of contracts coming out of the DoD. Hard to quantify with the wording, today, how important this prototype contract is. But again, I think it just plays further into your point, which is the sentiment that they continue to win government contracts. You can't really talk about this in terms of valuation because I sold too early. When I put it out at $4, it was trading at just under 6 times EV to sales. Palantir is over 40, probably closing in at 45 now with the earnings move. So, we're up over 8 times now on BBAI, which, strikes me as fundamentally high. But again, sentiment is going to be a better gauge of where this goes near term than fundamentals. But I've been advocating to our community to take profits along the way up here because, I do think that you'll get opportunities to buy this back cheaper. And it's exceeded, my performance expectations in the short period of time. That's for certain.
All right, great. And also, I wanted to mention, along the theme that I was talking about, AI defense, someone asked about RCAT, right? So, we talked about RCAT this morning in the drone stocks, and I'll go over that chart in a second. But Paladin is a drone stock that's like an AI drone stock. So I was thinking that we could have that sentiment bleed over into Paladin. And again, the theme is AI defense, Palantir, big BBAI, and Paladin. Along with the fact, if you look at our drone list, RCAT hit our 960 target that we gave it yesterday, actually exceeded it back over the moving averages. They have a relationship with Palantir. They announced that Investor Day with Palantir coming up. We had OPTT, another drone stock, hit our target. We gave it a 90-cent target this morning. Well, hit 89 cents, pretty close to our 90-cent target. So along those, in this theme, you also have Paladin. So Paladin, this is in play. I'm in a position now, 850 target, 20 DMA. Another 40 cents, so that might play out today. You can take a look at that. All right. We got to talk about
notable volume in that name today, I'll say, and relative strength.
Paladin?
Yeah, for a company that's got only 20, less than 20 million shares in float, we've traded already 1.5 million shares. It's on the top half of the green list today on drones or otherwise, not seeing a lot of activity outside of, say, OPTT. So, you could be onto something there for sure. Yeah,
so that's maybe in play the rest of the day. Oh, look at BBI coming to the 670 target. Oh, why did I sell early? All right. We got to talk about PBI. I don't know if we mentioned it on the Benzinga show last week, but we captured these big 3 candles, okay, on a pre-announcement of earnings. Their earnings report coming out next week, and not only a pre-announcement of earnings, but buying back some of their debt. This is I don't have time to rehash the whole thing. I'll just say that this is a fundamental re-rating that's happening because of deleveraging that's going on. Company flipping to cash flow profitability, rapidly paying off debt. This thing's probably worth easily in the teens, right? 13, 14, 15, something like that. But there's something else here that is an extra icing on top. They had a press release this morning. There's been some speculation and some thought that if Trump administration tries to privatize or partially privatize USPS, that's something, some speculation they're going to do that. And if they try to do that, that the number one private company benefit from that would be Pitney Bowes, PBI. There's a lot of evidence to support that they'd be in prime position to benefit from that. And then this morning, they had a press release related to government work. And in that press release, the very closing paragraph really sums it up nicely in terms of, again, we talk about sentiment a lot. So people who are into this theme, or into this thesis that they want to be in Pitney Bowes because of this, the closing paragraph in today's press release says, they got some, licensure or some certification for some government services. It says the state ramp authorized SendPro 360 platform, that's their platform, reaffirms that government agencies and organizations can confidently rely on Pitney Bowes to streamline their operations, reduce risk, and enhance data security. So this was a top pick today. It hasn't taken off yet, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. The earnings are next week. I think this stock's actually going to break 929 before the earnings report next week, and it might even take off later today with that catalyst that we had this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Love this thing from a fundamental standpoint as well. There's just not that many companies that have this type of near-term catalyst potential, as well as incredible valuation. I mean, these guys are trading at just over 5 times EV EBITDA, about 8 times PE, and EV to sales of 1.5. But what's more, there is a very good chance that in addition to further initiatives with respect to refinancing and paying down debt, this thing is now a cash flow machine. So they could start buying back stock. It's not massive, but there is 13 million shares short on this thing. I have no idea why anyone would want to short this thing. It's over 8% of the float, which is surprising
That's
to me.
9 days to cover.
So yeah, and like to your point about the privatization thing, they can't completely privatize U.S. Postal Service because there's a universal service obligation there. But the big anchor in terms of cost, and this is where Doge would come in, is these long-term pension benefits that they have for all of these historic postal workers. So what they need to do is lower the employee base at the U.S. Postal Service. What's the best way? And the only way they can do that and still meet their universal service obligation, farm out more of this pre-sort type work. And Pitney Bowes, they have the scale now that nobody can compete with them in terms of cost. And that if they're going to farm out more of that work, they're going to have a fine pencil on cost. They can Pitney Bowes can underprice anybody else and still make it accretive. So that and their other business, there's not a lot of growth there. Doesn't matter. The efficiencies are being driven to where this thing is a huge cash cow. And the thing that nobody's talking about, they can also use that cash for growth initiatives, non-organic, inorganic growth initiatives. And I think there are some obvious sort of tack-ons to their existing business that could turn this into a growth company again, which is what nobody's paying for.
And I just got to say, looking at this stock now, you guys are probably looking at this and like, why are you talking about Pitney Bowes today? It's not moving. It's boring. It's sitting at 877 the whole time you're talking about it. Look, my official trade account that's associated with the Discord ideas I put in our Discord is up 80% year to date in 4 weeks and a couple days. There are people in our community who are up much, much, much more than that, who focus more on options trading. And there were, however, a few people in our community were saying, I'm not making money. Like, what's going on? And I figured out the commonality with the few people in our community that were not making money is they're probably looking at a stock like this and they're waiting for validation. They're waiting for the technical breakout, right? I mean, it could have been true with all these big winners we had. Let's start with Geo, right? So like Geo, we were in this here. We were buying it up when it was boring, and we predicted this big spike, and it happened really, really fast. Okay, so if you're like a pure technical trader or options flow trader or something like that, you're going to miss these opportunities. What we do at Story Trading is we predict the breakouts. Look at like ASTS, for example. All right, ASTS, we were telling people to get in January 30th. I made this one of my largest positions January 30th when it was like below $19, right? So everyone else, you're like waiting for the breakouts. We are one step ahead of 99% of traders out there who are only looking at technicals. We're predicting the technical breakouts based on the catalysts. So that's why on the Benzinga show right now, you're looking at PBI, you're like, oh, you guys suck. You're boring. Where's the volume? What's going on? No, this is how you make the big money. You get in when it's boring. After the catalyst came in, the moves are going to happen fast, man. You don't have to sit on these things for months. All right, a big move is coming in PBI pretty quick, a secondary big move. We caught this entire move, by the way. These 3 big candles, we got in on the morning at the open here at $7.40. Got the entire move. There's another big move coming. It's coming soon. Probably no later than the earnings report next week. So that's why we talk about it on a trading show like this. This is how you beat the technical traders and make big money. So PBI, you don't want to overlook this, even though it looks pretty boring today.
There will be chasers. People will chase this higher, and you keep saying, time and time again, I don't want to chase things. I want to get in early. Yeah. And here's a perfect example. It's not like you have to wait long for the catalyst here. They're reporting earnings after the close.
And we know it's good already.
That's next Tuesday.
They pre-announced it. They said they're going to beat their earnings. They didn't say the magnitude of the EBITDA beat, but they said they're going to beat their revenue and they're going to beat the EBITDA. So it's going to be good. And they paid off their debt. And
There's about $500 million worth of free cash flow generation over the next 2 years coming out of this company. They're going to put that to work for shareholders, and they're going to do that by paying down debt. They're going to do that by buying back stock. You've already got a nice buffer here, safety zone in terms of valuation. Now you're going to have a shareholder value creation tailwind, to a business that's extremely stable.
so there you go. That's a gift for you guys right here on this.
Yeah, I like it. We can move on, but yeah, love it.
All right, Fubo was a big winner for us yesterday. Pull back today. You're the expert on this, Godfather. Disney call was this morning. Your thoughts on what?
Yeah, we didn't get any direct. Yeah, we didn't get any direct comments, but we got some indirect hints. And Iger talked about some highly interactive and personalized features, quote unquote, coming to ESPN. The flagship offering. And then quote unquote an elevated product and content experience. So, all of that points to my thesis, which is that a big part of that interactive part that's coming is the integration of ESPN Bet. And I think that that's going to be the trigger for further multiple expansion here. I actually think, given the move yesterday, which was over 10%, the fact that this thing is just down 1% today, it's a good read through. I think that I actually expected a real sell the news type move today if we didn't get anything concrete, and we really didn't get anything concrete. So the fact that it's this stable, I think, points to the fact that people are starting to get it. Plus, there's this massive disconnect in value relative to its peers. So, I would have liked to have heard him say, "Hey, we're going to accelerate the close of this acquisition by 6 months," or here are our concrete plans in terms of integrating ESPN Bet. But remember, the Disney brand wants to be disassociated from gambling. It's a family brand. They've now got the vehicle and the vessel within Fubo to do it. And I think that's what you're going to see next. On top of that, the other thing that I think the market's kind of missed, or maybe they keyed in on it, and that's why it hasn't sold off as much, is that the rev share opportunity for Fubo on ads sold by Disney is potentially huge here. And the other thing is we still have the other catalysts coming shortly. I think they're going to be relatively short order here, and the biggest thing there will be getting the Warner Brothers Discovery carriage deals done so that they can bring TNT, which brings Eurosport and a few other big offerings in golf, etc. And then they can finally get into the market with the details of their skinny bundle offering. So that's really what the market is waiting for. But there's valuation support here to the 650 range. I think it's just a matter of flipping that sentiment switch, and we got a little bit of that in the upcoming days. I don't think there was anything to deter that in this call, although we didn't get anything direct to it. So consolidation of the move yesterday, that's fine today. We could see extension tomorrow, kind of similar to what we saw on IESC. Post the earnings, some hot money came out, and now the stock's trading up some 5 cent or 5% plus. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see another follow.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis. Someone's mentioning Geo in the comments. Yeah, just because we made a bunch of money on it early doesn't mean we're always in it. We I analyze every position I have every single day. I'm always open to changing my mind about a position based on new information that comes in. Now, first of all, we absolutely nailed the exit up here on Geo. In fact, when we gave the thesis out on Geo back in December, we forecasted that you should. This is the most epic trade prediction ever, Rhett. But we forecasted. I said the price when it was $30, $28 to $30. I said your price target is $35 to $38, and you should exit on January 17th at the close, half, and exit your other half January 21st at the open. All right. That was the prediction. So our community made a ton of money on that prediction. Now, subsequent to that, I did keep some long-term shares. That was my trading shares. But as of several days ago, I completely sold out my long-term shares. And that's to the point that someone's putting in the comments because Trump's making a move to use Guantanamo Bay military prisons and now also prisons in El Salvador, foreign prisons, to save costs. So that is killing the sentiment on Geo. So as of several days ago, I completely sold out of my long-term position. But the trade position, we nailed it right at the highs, and it was a huge, huge winner for a lot of people in our community. So yeah, a lot of people, I noticed that just because we talk about the stock one time and it's a trade for a few days or trade for a few weeks, and then people come back 6 months later, a year later, 3 months later, oh, you were wrong. Oh my gosh, like they think that. I mean, I see that all the time, right? So you got to pay attention, and if you don't know what I guess join our Discord, and then you'll be up to Brett. If you're only seeing your show once a week, or you catch a Benzinga show once a month, or whatever, then you're not going to have the up to date information. Markets are dynamic. There's new information coming in all the time, and when you have a delta of information, you have a delta in price, and you have a potential thesis change. So we're constantly evaluating the delta of information to decide if this is still in play. So, that it's just very interesting how people they grab onto something and they just become emotionally attached to any thesis that sounds good. They just want to hold it forever. That's not how you do this game unless it's Tesla or Palantir. Anyway, I digress, I guess. What else do we got here? Paladin coming into our target. Is there any Brett, you got anything you want to talk about?
Nope. Someone is talking about Mob in there.
Mob. Okay, Mob is down, I think, because a few days ago, it didn't really come down that much, to tell you the truth. It was the morning of February 3rd. They did a ATM offering. Or they filed an ATM. They didn't do the offering yet, but they have the ability to sell shares on the open market. And it was a big amount compared to the market cap. And I think that's why there's been weakness for the last few days. I pared down my short-term trading position. I didn't sell it completely because sometimes you see an ATM being filed right before there's big news being announced. So that's why I didn't sell out completely. And for now, I've kept my long-term position as well. But, if we don't get big news soon, then maybe I'll reduce further. Again, I'm hanging on because I've seen it very often. I don't know, Godfather, have you seen that very often, that you get like big, important news after an ATM is filed?
I can't say
Oh,
I've made a mental note of that correlation, but it's possible. Look, this is a low float stock, so in absence of news, people tend to sell it, and any sort of imbalance of selling can have an inordinate effect on the share price. And I don't think it's any more complicated than that when it comes to Mob. So this is a name where I think it's a solid one to own a core position in, and you pick away on days when it's dipping, because one press release and this thing is back up to 460 again. Can have a $2 move in a week easily. So it's just the nature of these small cap, micro cap, low float names.
All right, that's that. But I just want to quickly point out Kodak, a little bit of a breakout here on the daily chart. I'm not in it now, but we had played this before when they had some catalysts on monetizing their pensions. That may be something to look at as far as a technical breakout. Looks very interesting. The weekly also looks very interesting. I may have to revisit this. Actually, wow. What is that? 750. It broke 750 on the weekly too. What's this candle over here? 783. Even broke that candle. What's the short position on this guy? 6 million shares. What is that? 5 days to cover? So anyway, Kodak got my interest today. I have to look at it again, but very interesting.
Don't look now, but BBAI just hit your 670 target.
Hit my target.
Oh man,
hit my target. I'm not in it. I hate it when that happens. I'm always too quick to sell.
What was the other one today? TEM.
Yeah, that hit our target too. TEM, I had a $69 target on. Oh, was it 69 or 70? It was 69.
I think it was
had a $69 target on it. It got rejected at 69, and it was funny too because when it came back to retest, there's a rule of thumb I have: when you have a big resistance level, almost always the first test of it fails, you get rejected, and then when you come back and you retest the second time, then you have a much greater chance of breaking it on the second time. That's exactly what happened. I own this in my long-term account, but I missed the trade, even though in pre-market when it was 64.45. I gave a $69 target. I didn't play it, so that was a missed opportunity.
Quick word on LFVN because they report after close today.
LFVN. Life.
This is LifeVantage. This is an affiliate marketing company. They've got a nutritional supplement that is purported to spur the body's natural GLP-1 hormone. And the important thing about these MLM, multi-level marketing or affiliate marketing companies is they have to have a blockbuster product to attract affiliates or consultants or whatever you want to call these folks that sell the product for them. They pre-announced that this quarter after market today is going to be up 30%. They've seen active accounts rise 22%. They have not seen a product launch boosting monthly enrollments like this since 2019. They had a liquid collagen product that was a real blockbuster. They announced yesterday, the stock was up over 10% on this announcement, that they are going to roll this out to the international market starting in March. It's a stock that tracks HIMSS very, very closely. You can look at the correlation. I sent a chart out to our Discord that shows that. This thing trades at 11 times. Actually, it's under 10 times EV/EBITDA right now versus HIMSS at 30. It will trade at a discounted multiple because they've got to pay out a lot to their consultants. But at the end of the day, you're still looking at a 70% of revenue recurring type model, and margins are 9.5% with this new product because they sell it at $180 a month. I'm estimating that those margins go up closer to their long-term target of 12. And if that happens, then the two analysts that cover this thing are currently in the $30 to $35 range. The stock's at 21 or 22 today. I think that those actually get upgraded into the $40 range. So there's a potential for a double here, but the near-term potential for 50% move. And the stock traded up to $27.50 when they pre-announced those numbers. Again, they're going to report after close today. I think you see it back in that range. Nice. So not sure why it's selling off today, just giving back some of the move that it gained yesterday. Low float under 10 million. So that's probably part of it. One seller comes in and makes a mess of things. I think it's not.
So does this have like the same business model as like Herbalife? Is that what it was?
Exactly. Except it's not a scam.
Pyramid scheme or whatever that is with Herbalife.
It's important to note that these are nutritional supplements, so they're not held to the same, FDA approval type standards or vetting of their claims. But it doesn't really matter if people are buying this and they are seeing results. They'll continue to buy it, and the margins on this product are massive. And by all accounts, they are seeing efficacy. So again, it's a virtuous model. You can read my write-up on it because I actually threw it onto X this morning, given that they're reporting after market today. It just reinforces itself. Blockbuster product like this attracts more affiliates, consultants, if you will, to sell it. And now they've got the marketing that they need to expand into the international market on top of it. So margin expansion, revenue growth, new markets, cheap valuation, low float, near-term earnings catalyst, et cetera, et cetera.
Sounds great. Ryan, look at this PBYN coming up to my target 850. I don't hear you.
You're on mute, Ryan.
That'll help if I turn mute off. Goes by fast. Half hour goes by fast. Great job here, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, Ben.
Thanks,
you got
Ryan.
it. Ben, Rhett, and Godfather, take care. I am going to send you folks over to Futures Fever next. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.